in his initial draft. So I'm excited to see
Yeah.
what civilizations they're going to pick. And remember, this is best of 7. So we're going to see some stuff here that maybe we haven't seen before. And I already see a civilization in the Malians that have not been featured yet in this tournament.
Yeah, it is the last pick there. I'm noticing a shift here, right? We've seen a lot of dominance from Aztecs and Mayans, and early on, people were fearing the Vikings more. Look at Leary's draft. Picked Aztecs first, Vikings second, and after all the civs are picked back and forth style, they then get sniped. So Hera said, no. I know how good Aztecs are. I just showed the world how good it was again. Yeah, just get out of here. And so he's actually banned out Aztecs over Vikings, which is fascinating on 2 levels. One, because, okay, Vikings have been banned every other time, it seems like, but also because Leary, his style is archers, eco, and imp. So whenever Vikings is shown, very excited to see if that's so strong, where maybe Hera doesn't have a throwaway pick, like uses a weak civ there, one of those final ones, but has some type of a strategy to cancel it out in some way.
Yeah, I really feel like both of these players have learned. You can see Aztecs and Mayans banned respectively. Both of them have learned how strong they are, and that shows that they've been watching the tournament, Tristan.
Yeah.
When we started this whole thing, Vikings were the automatic ban for most players, especially in that best of 3, the best of 3 was hidden pick, but in the group stage, best of 5 elimination matches, it seemed like they were always getting banned. So it's shifted a little bit here, shifted quite a bit. And we see the Incas as well for Hera. So maybe deciding that if he can't have an Eagle Civ in the Mayans, he's going to go for Eagles with the Incas.
Yeah, dude, you said it. You're like, come on, man. This Civ might not have the greatest identity. They might be slightly worse than Aztecs and Mayans in some ways, but they're super flexible. They still have that Eagle push, which has been strong. A very hard Civ to raid in the mid game too. So I kind of like that pick there from Hera. I think that the order in which these Civs are picked makes sense priority-wise. If you pick a Civ which is questionable, like Saracens, for example, which we saw from Viper 3rd, then you're giving up some good Civs too. So the draft is so important here, Dave. But moving along from the Civs, I actually don't think any of these guys have a real victory in the draft. I think it's going to be even there. What is the difference between these two players, if there is a difference between these two players?
I feel like Hera has more of an ability to spread himself out across the map. Map control is a really big thing for him. Obviously, we talk about the defense. He's got the capability to be an extremely aggressive player as well. We saw that against Doubt, like just finishing games within the first 10 minutes with his amazing aggression. But I feel like he stabilizes more than Leary does. Leary puts all of his, puts his entire bet on the first push, the initial push into early Imperial Age, and then will stabilize after that. Hera kind of builds up behind his pushes more than Leary, and I feel like Hera may have more tricks in the bag, if that makes sense. A little bit of a deeper pool of strategy than Leary has. Leary is more of a player that says, I'm going to do something. You know exactly what I'm going to do, but I'm going to do it so well that you can't stop me.
Yes.
And that's why it's so exciting to watch him as a player. And it's also fascinating to watch a player like Hera, because you can see like the gears turning, right? You can see the intelligence in his play, and also the same level of execution as Leary. I give Hera a slight edge going into the series, even with their past results, just because I think he's on form, and I think he has a little bit more depth here going into this series.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, if I were to just shout out a prediction based on everything we've seen, I would go 4-2 Hera because of how strong he's played. But moving back to your point, I agree that I think overall in these settings, Hera's a little bit more well-rounded, but it's just he might be more well-rounded, but Leary has the greatest peak. It's not as if Hera can't compete with that archer play. It's just that I think that he tends to go away from that more often than not. But I'll tell you this much. Hera was able to win against Doubt very quickly and against Viper very quickly. He is not going to have that success with Leary. I mean, he might get victories, but I don't see games being all that quick unless Greenland's played, and I think they banned it, so that's not going to be an issue. I think the concern for Hera's got to be, putting his foot on the gas a little too early against Leary. We saw what Leary was able to do against MBL. Even though MBL killed villagers in feudal age, Leary would still get to castle age. So it's really hard to know. Do you try and hit him before castle age because that's where Leary wants to be, or do you just kind of chill out, realize you're not going to be able to do enough, and try and match him early castle age? And that depends on the map. That depends on the civs. Man, oh man, is this going to be fun?
I think a lot in these games, Tristan, is going to be decided by the early engagements between like 3 or 4 units, right? Who gets momentum and who can hold an aggressive position. And that'll dictate how they play out the rest of the game, which is so interesting that small numbers of military like that in a game mode where you start with 30, almost 30 population can have that much of an impact. But that shows how good both of these players are and how little of a difference there is in playing ability between the two of them. I'm really, really excited going into this set. I mean, as an Age of Empires fan, I feel like we're going to get the highest quality play possible in these settings.
Yeah. And it's so good that we're seeing them meet in the final as opposed to a quarterfinal, right? It was actually, I think Hera not winning his group that made them meet in the quarterfinals before. But yeah, they've met so frequently. Who is we've discussed how similar they are and their strengths, weaknesses, if there are any. This game mode was practically made for these two players. It's very different from standard age. Who's the most confident player coming into this? Who has the mental edge going into these finals?
I see. I would give Leary. I would give Leary just give us a second here, guys. We got Hera and Leary. You know they're preparing for the grand final, so we got a couple minutes here, and we're just going to talk about the grand final for a little bit. So hang with us here.
Yes.
In terms of mental edge, I would give Leary the mental edge going into any series, and that's because I just think he has so much confidence in himself, and I think it'll take a lot to make him waver. I feel like even if he loses 2 games in a row, Leary goes into the next game thinking, well, I can win. It's fine. And maybe I'm wrong with that. Maybe he gets nervous a little bit, but we certainly don't see it outwardly. And it's definitely a benefit to his play to have as much confidence as he has.
I think results really do matter an awful lot here, right? He's gotten the better of their big matchups in these settings. But I also think momentum in Age of Empires as a whole is also really important. I think Hera's had the much better 3 or 4 months, maybe 6 months, you could say. And I remember there was a time we said that about Leary, but this was an amazing game, by the way. Viewers, if you didn't see this, you have to rewatch this one. It was like both amazing and stupid at the same time, which I know for a lot of people who like Force Nothing anyways, it might end up working. But anyways, I think Hera has shown in just his interviews how confident he is right now. He said straight up, I'm not going to let him beat me again. Like this has happened before. I'm not going to let him beat me again. He said before playing Viper today, so this was yesterday's interview, something cheeky about how like what excuses you're going to come up with this time if Viper loses to me. Like it wasn't quite that. Listen to Hera's words before you let me put words into his mouth, but it was something along those lines, man. This is a guy who has a chip on his shoulder. He believes in his ability. And I think he has shown also with his dominance and how quickly these games have been against one former champion and then against the Viper that he's here. So I'm curious to see if Hera gets an early lead in this series, what happens. I think if Leary gets an early lead, there's definitely that potential for Hera to respond. If Hera gets an early 2-0 lead or something like that, will Leary be able to stop this confident Canadian? So that's kind of the way I see it. But my goodness, man, as we see where Viper tapped out, those games weren't even close. I almost want to spend 10 minutes talking about that semifinal, but we can't. We're so close now to game 1 in the final.
Well, you spend more time talking about the semifinal than it took to play. I think that was crazy performance from Hera there, and definitely, I feel bad for Viper because he obviously had plans coming in, and it just wasn't his day. Like Hera said in the interview, he said sometimes it's your day, sometimes it's not. It was my day today, and with his level, he was just able to completely dominate that semifinal. But we're about to get into game number 1 of our finals here. I see the players are in the game room. We're just waiting for them to launch. They're getting prepared. I want everyone at home to get prepared, get hyped for this. We have the 2 best players, undisputed best players in this format, matching up against each other for a best of 7 finals here. They both have good civilizations. They both have good maps. This is going to be amazing.
Practice partners, 2 of the biggest nerds in the scene, 2 of the youngest high-level players in the scene. It is a matchup made in heaven. It is beautiful, and we're also going to see, and I can see the civs now, so we have time to discuss it. That civ that I brought up, the Vikings. Hera chose to snipe out Aztecs as opposed to the Vikings. Both civilizations there are strong. I think how this first game goes is really going to dictate how the rest of the series goes. It's going to be Vikings for Leary, Tatars versus Hera. If Hera could somehow find a way to solve Leary with Vikings, he's going to be in a good spot for this best of 7. But how, dude? Like, you and I have talked as the other games are being cast, and Dave and I have so many things to say, of course, naturally. And we're just typing away. And Dave and I have not been super impressed with the Tatars. And we know that Vikings are sick. So advantage Leary, at least, civ-wise, going into game 1.
How do you, like, if Leary plays this relatively safe and does the thing where he gets some eco picks, he keeps his army alive in Castle Age, he gets up to Imperial, what do you do with the Tatars? You hope that you have a good hill position in front of your base that you can hold potentially?
Yeah.
Like, it's difficult, right?
Well, I think it's probably going to turn into an archer battle. If that happens, free thumbering is a big deal. We saw what Hera was able to do with faster firing archers and Ethiopians against Doubt. That was brutal. I felt like it should have been illegal to watch that. So yeah, I mean, I think that's got to be the mindset. And against Leary anyways, you probably are going to want to overwhelm his army, because if he doesn't have it at your base, you're set. That's the mindset. Now, granted, is Leary going to play safe? Because I think the safe approach is the clear approach with Vikings, that you just got to protect that eco. We will find out, but everyone who's watching, I hope you're ready. I know you're ready if you're here, and I'm sure more people will show up for these finals. Best of 7, Red Bull Wololo 4, between, in my eyes, the 2 greatest players for these settings. There's no doubt about it in my mind.
I agree with you, and we are into the game here. Get hype, folks on Twitch, folks on YouTube, people watching this video afterwards. Hera versus Leary, game 1 of the best of 7 Red Bull Wololo 4 finals, and we can see already Leary going for that archer range opening with the Vikings. He's got a bit of a forward gold there, but he should be able to sort that out with the walls that he's already placing down.
Yep, starting scouts do matter. You see Hera's there. Against other players, I think Hera attacks there, but a little surprised to see. He says Leary will probably save that villager, and he's looking around, confirms the range, confirms the walls. Again, I'm not sure what you can really do as actually Leary. Oh, God, he almost dropped it. This is so high level. I'm not sure what you really do here, Dave, except let Leary wall. You can't get enough pressure there to stop it. Hera's going to be sending archers forward as well, but walls will be up for Leary.
Yeah, walls will be up for Leary, and he's even, I believe he's going to be pushing the deer here, Tristan, in Empire Wars. No, I thought better of it. He's like, I can be doing better things with my time.
But, you know, that's actually, this map generation is actually really awkward for Leary, because typically you're going to send 3 or 4 villagers to go out to deer, and his are on the front, and he has to wall it out, and his gold is forward. If you look over at Hera's base, he's got a back gold, and his deer are on the back. So one thing I noticed here is that Hera did delay his walls more, which means his eco should be a little bit sharper right now, but not a whole lot of action here. Just like I said, I don't think either player can break the other one in early feudal. So this is going to go to early Castle Age and beyond.
Yeah, Leary just trying to establish maybe some semblance of map control here, seeing if there's any opportunities at Hera's base, and Mapu over there pointing out a hole in the back of Leary's walls. That could come into play potentially later. Leary not sending a villager to check whether they can get out. Maybe he'll do that in a few minutes here, and he's run up against the archers from Hera. He's going to have to go back across the map.
Yeah. Adding 2 spears is a little weird to me. I don't see why when the opponent opens range, you'd want to have 2 spearmen. I get 1 for that starting scout. You might be thinking, come on, T90, that's not a big deal. It's just a spearman. These guys are so good, and the level's so high that 1 extra spearman, a couple extra seconds given to the opponent can make a difference. It is such a big deal. It's, believe me, incredibly punishing to play, and I'm glad that average Age of Empires players don't have to experience that, but man, it's going to be beautiful to watch here, Dave, as we have both players going for ranges as they head towards the castle age.
Yeah, we see Leary, though, there with the scout now. Maybe he can be a little bit annoying to that villager.
Ooh.
He's going to hit it, run away from the counter hits from the Vill. There's more villagers coming from Hera. Potential to pick this for Leary.
What's happening right
gets
now?
her.
Is the villager going to... Okay, goes down. It was a little bit of hesitation there. Hey, I don't want to say I called it, but the spearman mattered. Hera is going to be a little bit faster to castle age. Probably didn't make that much of a difference, but I'll pat myself on the back for that one. So Leary trades a scout to get a Vill, which I think is more than fine here. And he has the civilization, which has already been benefiting from free wheelbarrow and will benefit from free handcart. Tough for Hera to do much here to damage the eco. I think you control the map with military and then maybe go for a forward workshop. There's a lot of gold forward there for Leary. There's no way he can just sit in his walls all game.
Yeah, and Hera's coming straight across the map, but he's got to be careful because Leary has quite the force there. And if Hera just runs into this without looking, he could lose quite a bit of military. He is running into it. 1 archer goes down right away. 2nd archer going down for Hera. That's not what he wanted to open up with.
Yeah, that hurts, right? He also is just now seeing that skirms have been mixed in. So he wanted to go full crossbow, but Leary's going for a mix, I believe, anyways. He's actually just adding archers now, but a mix of skirms and archers, meaning crossbow. Elite skirm might be on the cards for him. Hera with the faster castle age, but now lost momentum. Leary's going to be loving life. He knows his eco's stronger. He knows his civ is probably overall stronger. And he's got Hera back at home when Hera should have an advantage.
Yep. And these are the little engagements that I was talking about before the series, Tristan. You can get a couple picks like that, and then Leary can just kind of hang out here. He sees that Hera's in the castle age now, so he's going to back up for the time being. But this is time that, you know, if Hera had taken a good first engagement there, he could be on Leary's gold. He could be pressuring the military. Instead, he's walking across the map.
You have to. You know what? I like how he's pushing forward. Obviously, he should with the upgrades, but I'm curious on the confidence with micro. Dave, I think the thing that separates Hera and Leary right now in terms of position in this game is just the fact that Thumb Ring is free for Tatars. Plus the hill bonus if there's a hill. Hera's got to force some fights here before ballistics come in, and we're going to see how nerdy they're going to be.
This is going to be fun. This is going to be real fun here. Great micro from both players so far. Free Thumb Ring for Hera. But Leary making do with the Viking crossbows and actually getting some decent trades there.
It was at first really good for Hera. Then it evened out there for Leary, who has clicked ballistics already. Hera has not clicked ballistics. Seems to me like he's going to sit on the hill. Tatar's getting more damage output. One on top of hills is a big, big deal. I'm a bit surprised to see Hera's added a 2nd TC right now. I was expecting maybe a forward workshop because I think you've got to have some real sense of urgency here against the Vikings.
Yes. Does he want to take that chance, though? With Leary's micro, like at any point, Leary could sneak around and potentially kill the villager coming forward. Hera, though, with this hill position here, it's good for him, and he's never going to target that skirmisher that Leary was attempting to use as a distraction. Targets it now that it's not moving. And he's got crossbows of his own as a distraction in front, and Leary has to back up. That's an excellent hill position for Hera to hold.
That was a beautiful little moment. Leary, for the 15 seconds Hera didn't have ballistics and Leary did, he noticed it, and he started the side patrol to dodge some of the shots. Now they both have ballistics. It's just one has Thumb Ring, the other does not, and they're going for this. It's kind of a new age dodge, Dave, where you side patrol at the right time. You end up dodging the shots and immediately firing. And there's another TC for Hera. It's crazy how he's booming even better than the Vikings right now.
Yeah, he is booming better than them. We'll see when Leary is going to go for that 2nd TC, if he decides to go for it. Is there a world in which he makes some siege here in defense and then just thinks about going up to Imperial Age with the superior military?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the food count's going to spike so much when you're not investing it into to other TCs and villagers right now. Thumbring's now in for Leary, so they're on even footing in terms of that. Hera still having the hill, which he's loving, and still doesn't have the second armor upgrade. But 58 villagers for Hera, 49 for Leary. That should grow. It's just that I think Hera's going to have to fall back here. The numbers are similar, and now there's a Mangonel.
Yeah, and he sees the Mangonel now, and he's going to back up. He finally abandons that hill, which Leary will like, and Leary's going to push his way across the map. Remember what we said about Leary. He wants to keep his Castle Age military alive, massing those units, and then advancing to Imperial Age faster than his opponent so he can get the upgrades.
Yeah, if Hera has 30 more vills, but Leary has Arbalest, Leary's not going to care too much. I think he'll be fine there. Yeah, with any other player, I think I would really hate the way Hera has played this, because we said what you need to do against Vikings. But he's also the best defensive player, I'd say, in the game. Of course, that does not mean he's great offensively, but I think that getting a 15 villager lead, falling back to just defend with your own Mangonel is actually fine for him. And remember, if he ends up getting a win in this game, he's just eliminated Leary's best civilization in this draft. So this could be really good for Hera if he can defend a bit more.
Yeah, and look at the resources for Leary. I mean, they're looking pretty good here, Tristan. Just lacking the gold. Wouldn't be surprised to see a market for Leary going down soon, just to balance it out a little bit and get there even faster. He also hasn't lost much military. I mean, look at the KD. It's looking pretty good for him. Only 16 lost, and he's been massing this whole time.
Still just I love the clash. Look at what Leary's doing. He knows that there could be some pressure on this side. He used that weak crossbow, not even the full HP crossbow, the throwaway crossbow. Sorry, buddy. Just to double check things, and he is going to click up to the Imperial Age here, Dave. And
that's
even
disgusting,
ducking some
Micro.
shots. Get out of here. Get out.
Oh, the villager. She put on her dancing shoes there and got away from all of the shots. Not just avoiding death, avoiding every single arrow there. So great micro from Leary. And also great game sense, like you said, to have the crossbow over there, to realize that Hera was probably going to loop around at some point, and Leary is on the way to the Imperial Age. This is exactly the strategy that we said he was going to go for, Tristan, and it's probably the strategy Hera expected, but can he stop it? Leary is so good at this.
A few engagements here, Dave. It's kill or be killed now for Leary because of the way he's played this. 30 vills behind. If Hera can get a good Mangonel trades, as we're going to see both fire and both pay attention to it. Dodging there, and Hera with a cheeky delete. I think he actually needed that delete to get a kill, and we can explain that at another time for people that don't know. 90 seconds till those upgrades come in for Leary.
Each player has a hill. They've each got a hill. They're like, I'm not leaving this. Sorry.
Yep. Could probably leave it against any other player. Again, they are playing this with such respect for each other's talents right now.
Good little snipe on a singular crossbow there. Leary actually attacked grounding where he anticipated Hera would split. He was just slightly off. Trying to go for the Mangonel. The micro here from both players is insane. Second TC there for Leary forward. And here comes the engagement, Tristan. Hera's trying to whittle down these numbers before Leary gets the Imperial Age upgrades, but fantastic positioning and micro from Leary. And maybe if Hera doesn't kill more units here, he could be in big trouble.
Yeah, he's going to need something more than just crossbows then, as he's going to throw these away. You know, I was initially a little surprised that Leary was going to go in for that fight, but he's going to have the units remaining anyways. 21 army versus 3. Hera has a 40 villager lead, dude. A 40 villager lead. He needs a castle at home now, and it needs to cover everything somehow, because here comes the Austrian.
Yeah, here comes the Austrian, and I already see a ram making its way across the field, Tristan. So he's thinking about, how can I supplement my Arbalists with siege to push into Hera's base? Because right now, buildings will stop the Arbalists in their tracks, but with rams behind, it should be okay. Just needs to clear up the Mangonels from Hera, and there's the castle from Hera. It is in a defensive location, and it will be able to stop the push from that side. It's just whether Leary can do damage from the south.
Feels kind of weird to use this analogy when you have the youngest player, but Leary now needs to babysit his units right now. He cannot, I mean, he can afford a lot more, don't get me wrong, but he needs to do damage, and he cannot lose this mass here, Dave. And Hera is going to drop a castle, and he still has a big eco lead. If he can get imp somehow into skirms, it could stall this out. But the Rams are coming. Cap Ram will complete soon. It's so difficult to fight Leary with ARPs.
Yep. Hera, though, one of the best defensive masterminds in the game. We've been talking about it all tournament, and he's got enough skirms here to whittle down some numbers. He's now coming out with the Keshiks to clear up the Rams, and Leary's military kind of out of position here to protect the Rams. So potential for Hera to stall this out is there.
I think Hera made a big mistake here. He had 800 food, 800 golds. Granted, he's going to take losses on the front, but he decided to get armor for Cav and then make Keshiks, and all of his resources to go Imp are going to disappear. Now, granted, he would be 3 minutes away from Imp if he would have clicked Imp by now. Things would be even worse for him. This is just why Vikings and Leary are so strong here. But now he's stuck in Castle Age, Dave, and I just don't think Castle Age is really going to cut it if Leary continues to push like this with the Siege.
No, especially against a player like Leary, who's going to be constantly micromanaging his armies. And he has 2 TCs behind it. And remember, ever since he got to Castle Age, he's had Wheelbarrow and Handcart supplementing his economy. As Hera comes out here with some Keshiks, trying to catch these Arbalists out, but I think with Leary's micro and with the upgrades, the Arbalists should win this fight.
Yeah, it's just... I think Leary forced Hera to make a tough choice, and Hera was going to be damned if he did, damned if he didn't, basically. If he went Imp, I think he'd still be in trouble. If he didn't go Imp, like he's doing now, as you can see, he's in trouble, and you're going to see a backup castle here. I guess that's going to stop the rot a little bit, but an incredible amount of damage has been done.
Yep.
Still just waiting for Leary to go to stone heavily to get some trebs out, because he needs a castle. I don't think Cap Ram is going to do it forever. He
does need it eventually. It's just kind of, catching up with his eco at the moment, and he's looping around to the north side with military there, Tristan. This is a fantastic play from him. There's a bunch of exposed resources at the north of Hera's base, as we see that tower finally going down, and the Arbalists arrive at the woodline. That villager difference that we were talking about is going to get smaller and smaller and smaller the longer this game goes on.
Yeah, Hera does have a lot of skirms, though, next to that main force and the Rams, Dave. This is maybe doable. The skirmishers come out of nowhere, the Keshiks take out the Rams, and it's 113 villagers for Hera, and it's 81 for Leary. If Hera gets handcart, if he survives this, the civs are very similar, and in many ways, you could say maybe Tatars are more well-rounded. Hera just needs to survive.
Yep. And he's a master at that. We all know Hera can survive almost any push, but Leary's still in the back of Hera's eco now. He's into the farms. Hera is going to need that food to go up to the next age.
Yeah.
And he's struggling right now. He will be able to clear up this army, but as soon as he clears it up, Leary's going to have another one coming down through the middle.
I'd like to direct the viewer's attention to the bottom right of your screens, right below Hera as he's focused. Look at the percentage in the WELM stat, that is worker efficiency last minute. The percentages there dictate everything you need to know. Even though there's more villagers for Hera, he's had them garrisoned, he's had them moving. Thank you, Capture Age, by the way, for that awesome stat, and that is really going to be tough for Hera. If he ever wants to go Imp, Dave, he's going to have to sort that out somehow.
And he's making more and more Keshiks here, he's making more and more skirmishers, and that's resources that he needs to go up to the next stage to get the upgrades. But at this point, he's forced into making them because of the constant pressure from Leary. And look at the villager count now, only 106 to 91. Hera's still with no handcart as well, so the economies are pretty even at the moment.
Yeah, I think all that Leary needs, he's real close. He's got the hammer up in the air right now, and he's ready to put the final nail in the coffin, Dave. If he can get a castle up, that would do it. Yeah, and he could make trebs. Hera's in no man's land, stuck in Castle Age. Nothing he can do against trebuchets in a forward castle.
And if he puts it right, he's going to put it on the front there. Okay, a little bit safer with that castle. I was thinking potential to put it right beside those archer ranges, cut off that gold. But definitely, Leary knows he's already in a winning position. Why not just pad your chances a little bit with a bit of a safer castle option. Hera still hasn't clicked up to the Imperial Age, and it doesn't look like he's going to get there anytime soon.
Oh, dude, he was tempted. He saw the castle foundation somehow. I think he was trying to loop the Keshiks in to either surround against the Arbs or deny the castle. Maybe too late to deny the castle now, and this is going to surprise Leary. That is a lot of Keshiks. Castle's up. Leary,
I still feel like they
think it's
die,
gonna
though.
end up being okay. Yeah, I think he can just hop in the castle, honestly.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
mean-
there's the game. And that's, you know what, Tristan, I hate to say we called it, but we called it. Leary going for Vikings, going for that faster Imperial Age time, keeping his army alive in Castle Age. Hera probably knew that going in and just couldn't stop it.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be a lot of good civs remaining on these drafts regardless, but I feel like giving Leary Vikings is like giving Ronaldo a penalty kick. It's like giving Michael Jordan a free throw. I'm a massive nerd, so I shouldn't be making too many sports references, but I tried my best, and Hera tried his best there, Dave, and it just didn't work out. Exactly what we called going into this series. Now, do you think that there was a misplay from Hera? Do you think that his approach was incorrect, or do you think that maybe he did get a lead there, but he still just wasn't able to quite follow through?
Do you think he needs to go into skirmishers a bit earlier there? He went into skirmishers for defense, and he was pushing forward with the crossbows. He took that battle in early Imperial Age for Leary, and he had no skirmishers on the field because he was kind of focused on eco. Maybe the third TC was a bit too early, and maybe you go into skirmishers instead. It's so difficult against Leary with Vikings. Like, look at how smooth that timeline is, right? It's so even until it's not, and then you're dead.
Yeah, I mean, this is not a situation where we're heavily questioning things. We're just grasping at straws because there's very few answers, if any, to how Leary's going to play Vikings. You either go all in one TC with Skirm, Crossbow, Mangonel, which he didn't do, or you go, I think, 2 TC, like you said, and get a bit more military out there. But either way, I still think Leary just had probably one of the most broken civs these settings have seen. And that's just how it goes. So I don't mean to remove the excitement of what just happened there for Leary fans, but Hera's going to recognize that. He will know that that civilization, that player is just really hard to stop. He, as mentioned about drafting and how important it is to last throughout a whole series, he's going to have some civs available. There will be instances where we say similar things, where Hera goes in with the edge civ-wise. Don't think the mentality for either player is going to change at all. I think they both have healthy respect for each other. And the next map is going to be Frigid Lake, Dave. So what are your thoughts about Hera's civs available for Frigid Lake?
Frigid Lake, I mean, we've seen Saracens before on Frigid Lake, I believe. We've seen Magyars. I think Leary showed those off yesterday against MBL. So a couple potential civs there. I'm actually in the game here, and I can see it's going to be Khmer against Magyars. So Leary going with Khmer and Hera going with Magyars.
Yep, those are the civs I would have called. You know, there was a time where certain things about these players were slightly criticized. There was a time, even just a year ago, where people said Hera's too predictable. He always goes for the meta, and that's a weakness of his. Well, hold on a second. He stomped everyone to get here. And I think both players are going to be extremely predictable, Dave, because they both have that aspect of, oh, you know what I'm going to do. There's a reason for that, and try and stop it here. We saw an epic game between Nikov and Doubt, another one to rewatch if you have not seen it as a viewer. And Khmer had success there. But I think that with all that success Khmer can bring, with the farms not needing drop-off points and the eco overall being better than Magyars, Magyars have the most potential in the big moments. The early feudal with the scouts, they could decimate economies. And then even in post-imp, what do you do against Magyar, Hussar, and Cav Archer? Not much if you're Khmer.
Yeah, the only weakness, like, Magyars are so well balanced. It's like a better Huns, basically, across all the ages. Magyars are good in feudal age. They're good in castle age. They're good in late imperial. I think the only place you might struggle a little bit with the civilization is early imp, when you're trying to get all those expensive upgrades in it. And if you don't have a mass, you could struggle as well. Khmer, we'll see how they match up. I mean, Nikov couldn't quite make it work against Stout in that amazing, I believe it was, game number 3 or something?
I think that was 3 or 4. Oh, so good.
Yeah. But here we go into game number 2. Game number 1 gave us a good snapshot. Both of the players' execution is there. The gameplay is there. We saw that with the fantastic micro with the crossbows. So we're excited for this one. It's going to be Hera with the Magyars and Leary with the Khmer.
Hey, man. That's what Hera's going to be saying here. Hera's got to be feeling confident with this Civ because he's going to be able to take advantage of all those bonuses we talked about. I actually spoke to Krazzini, the guy working behind all these wonderful maps, and I said, is this more open? Was there a change? And he basically said, no, occasionally certain map gens can be a little more open than others. I think the more open it is, the better for Hera here, but I am also noticing Leary's base seems to be a little more wallable if you look at the positioning of his wood lines.
Leary's base
Actually,
seems
a lot
to be
more
walled.
Yeah, like a lot more walled.
Like already walled. That's crazy. And he's checking for all the openings as well. He's keeping his scouts at home initially and the spearmen at home just to keep him safe. Although he sent a villager forward to dock. Hera has already docked there, and Hera has found that villager. Leary, though, with the quick walls, gonna save her. Hera will be hanging around to try and pick her off again, but Leary is gonna get that dock down.
Oh my god, and the other villager didn't die. I don't know if we caught all of that. I was so distracted myself. The other villager, well, no, villager is dead, Dave. I just checked the stats. I missed something. Let's continue. I don't know what I was looking at.
With all that distraction, he's actually housed here. So that's a big momentum killer this early in the game, especially with a matchup this close. And another momentum killer is the fact that Hera got his dock down very quickly and already has a fire ship coming over towards Leary's dock.
I'm a little surprised to see both contesting the water here, honestly. But I guess it makes sense when one player is going to be walled. You have to contest for something. Just a lot of tracking right now for Hera and make sure he doesn't take any losses. And it doesn't seem like there's too much that Leary can do right now. So advantage Hera.
Yeah, Hera going for the open approach with Khmer, and he's just going to defend with military. So this is contrary to what we were saying going into the set, with Hera potentially being the more defensive player here, not opting for the walls yet. Leary was housed there again for a little bit. So definitely momentum is with the Canadian at the moment as he's chasing the remnants of Leary's army back to his base. Those scouts for Hera, far more HP.
Yeah, it takes a special type of confidence to be able to just sit back and not wall. But at the same time, when you see the map difference, if you're investing time to wall, your eco is going to be worse. And I think especially against Khmer, where Leary's going to be able to just farm freely without having to make additional mills. And so Hera is just taking full control here, Dave. And it doesn't look like Leary has much of a response at the moment, behind on water and behind on land.
Yeah, Leary's got a couple scouts in that stable there. As Hera pressures this wall at the front, he's going to loop the scouts back around and see if Leary's military is going out. But I think he missed the two scouts leaving the stable, and Leary is going to loop all the way around to try and hit that farming eco from Hera. He did see it earlier, so he knows there's going to be villagers exposed, but so does Hera as he's coming back with the scouts. The game sense from both of these players is insane.
It's frustrating to have to do this. It's more difficult to play in Hera's position, but he's made it look so easy. The scouts arrive though, Dave, but Leary's not microing the scouts against the same villager.
No, he's got two different villagers. That scout's going to go down, and I think this scout is going to go down as well. So no villager picks for Leary. The military a little bit wasted here, and the water battle, he's also losing. Fantastic start for Hera.
Yeah, this is honestly a steamroll right now. In every way you look at it. You look at the resources, Hera has more. You look at the control on water, better for Hera. Leary's using spearmen though. That helps a little bit, I guess.
They do get bonus damage against ships, so I mean it does potentially come into play, but they burn fast. Yes, they're extremely flammable for sure.
That spear is made, the handle of the spear is made of only wood, so that will catch, it's a very dry wood and it'll catch on fire. No problem. Well, more spearmen coming out here for Leary. Hera has clicked up, and Leary is pretty far away, Dave. If you think about the situation here, he's not going to have fish. He is also not ahead somehow in the farming eco, which doesn't really make sense when you compare the Civ bonuses. Crazy.
It's looking like momentum is going to be firmly in Hera's favor here going into the Castle Age. And we talked about how strong of a civilization Magyars are in the Castle Age, especially getting that attack immediately. That's going to help them push in. Leary going for a stable behind. So he's going to have, what, double stable and some spearmen on the field, but probably not many opportunities to do damage to Hera's eco.
This is so sick, though. Hera doesn't have a single palisade wall. He hasn't even thought about it. He hasn't even made additional houses in a way that he's going to wall. It's all in military for him. He knows that he'll have a slight fish lead if he wants to add those on water. And he, much like Leary did in game 1, where Leary said, hey, you know what I'm going to do? I've got crazy military, try and stop me. He's going to go all in here, Dave. And this is the Hera that you and I kind of fell in love with back in 2015, 2016, when he was not close to that top 5, top 10, but maybe more around 20 at 15 or 16 years old. I think that this year he's had his fair share of overly defensive moments, which has actually hurt him. And I think he sorted that out here, man. Look at this approach. Armor already. Knights pumped out of 3 stables, and I think we'll see a forward siege workshop or monastery too.
There it is, the forward siege workshop. He also added fish on water, Tristan. So taking advantage of the water control that he gained with that early dock and the fire ship aggression. So he's going to have extra food income behind this to support the 3 stable production. Those spearmen from Leary not going to be anywhere near enough to damage these knights.
Look at this KD. After this fight, it should be 22-7. And this is before we see the knights find any real engagement. So
that gate's going to fold.
Big time. I think you need houses here. I could be wrong. Repair villagers are insane, but I think that Leary's going to need to get 2 houses here to buy more time. He does not have anything to deal with this.
And there they are, 2 houses. That one will go down before the gate does. Meanwhile, though, those scouts working on the wall, and there's potential for Hera to get in there. The villager seems a little bit late. The scouts are going to get in, and those are Magyar scouts, so they already have the +2. Going to pick off a villager, but the knights from Leary will be there in defense. This is so high level, man.
Yeah, this is great. And we have a Maganel coming, so this is going to be able to take out the repair villagers, which might not have even had any success.
Leary's going to snipe it.
That's true. Ends up getting it. I feel like at what cost is what I want to come back to, because now those knights are eventually going to die. But Leary's desperate to find some answer now. The thing is, if he makes knights, it's way worse. His food eco is now way worse. So yeah, he's got to try something different right now.
What is that? Is this the Max over here? He's got a siege workshop in the corner of the map. Leary maybe trying to, build a forward base and then get some aggression there later. Hera going for that second TC we can see on the mini map in the north and still trying to get through that stable. In all fairness here, Hera has played amazing, but Leary has somehow held on to this position, and there is potential for him, if Hera's not careful, to wipe up this forward army with the pikemen.
All comes down to the numbers here, and micro to an extent as well, but it's worth reminding viewers that knights with full upgrades shred pikemen if it's even numbers. So Leary's going to want to take engagements, which is fine. Hera has a villager attacking the repair villager, which is really funny, but Leary with confidence moving out. Hera actually backing away, Dave, and maybe finally some moments to breathe for Leary.
Yeah, I think he can kind of split these armies and take a good engagement. Yeah, there's a couple pikemen over on the right side, not enough pikemen on the left. Hera's going to engage against that. With extra knights coming, he's going to wipe this up quite easily and then push back towards Leary's base. But Leary now with 2 monks. So if he gets good conversion luck with the pikeman production that he has on the field, he can push this back again.
Yeah, important to note that Hera does also have a second TC, so maybe he's recognizing that the reason Leary can breathe, the reason he's brought this back somewhat, is simply because of the amount of investment he's had to put into this, and it has been an all-in investment from Leary to stay alive. Still feel like that siege workshop on the left is kind of just not going to work out this game for Leary. I mean, he certainly didn't think this pressure was going to come in if he went for that.
Yeah, Leary now heading in with his army of pikemen. Pikemen do well against monks because if you convert one, I mean, who cares? It's just a pikeman, and he's going to engage against the knights. Hera opting to take that fight. There's a lot of weak knights in there, but not quite dead yet, and it's an easy cleanup.
Oh, the scouts going after the monks as well. He gets one, but there's more scouts, and if he gets another one, oh, and he could get a conversion. He converts the elephant as well. This is the exact fight that Hera needed, and Hera dominates Leary just like Leary dominated Hera game one. Welcome to the finals, ladies and gents. Expect more of this. What a series this is going to be.
Yeah, excellent execution from both players. Hera just getting the early advantage there and snowballing his way to victory. We were talking about how those little fights early are going to dictate the pace of the game and how the players play. Fantastic job from Hera, playing completely open and making it work there just with his military numbers, just taking good engagements. It was really, really nice to see. And you saw the reaction from him after he won. He looked up in the sky. He said, "That's victory number one. I need 3 more." And Leary just kind of, rubbing his temples a little bit, thinking, where do I go for game number 3? I need to focus up. What strategy do I pick? Let's go next.
Yeah, exactly. You have to push that out of your mind at this point. If you really want to learn and prepare for the next Red Bull Wololo, whenever that may be, you do it at another time here. And that's actually something that takes a lot of practice. Because if you feel especially frustrated in yourself, or you feel you got dominated, to be able to just forget about that, it's not so easy, Dave. But I think they both have, against each other, realized that sometimes it's just back and forth, and that's how it goes. We won't have a sweep. That's good. And now we have to talk about Leary's situation. So immediately before talking about the home or seeing the home maps on screen, I'm thinking, what Archer Civ does he have? And what land map does he have? Is he going to go that route again here?
Well, no, and no, because the next map up is Northern Isles, which has had some crazy games. We saw it earlier today. I was watching on my phone and I just couldn't put it down, man. That was an insane game between Winchester and Leary. And apparently he liked it because he's going back again. He does have the Italians once more. Do you think it's going to be the Italians pick for Leary? And do you think that we're going to see potentially the Incas from Hera? We've seen it on this map before.
I think the approaches that these two players have when water's incorporated is very different. Hera, very outspoken about the fact that he does not like water maps. And he tends to try and take it to land. And he has had success with that. Leary, granted, there was a lot of stuff that happened in that game between Winchester and Leary, and maybe it's not the best example of how Leary might play because it was messy. I think Leary's going to prioritize water a little more, Dave. So I think you're kind of spot on here. There's 2 picks that might make sense for Leary. He could go Japanese or Italians, but picking a Civ to incorporate water pressure, and then Hera picking a Civ to go land might end up working out. I mean, what about Koreans? Could Koreans possibly work here for Hera? They're decent on water, and they're really annoying if you get enemy villagers or your villagers on the enemy island.
I think if it goes late too, Koreans, once you get the towers up, are really deadly, especially if you get a middle position there. But I've seen the civilizations. We're going to have more of a meta water battle here as we have the Japanese versus the Saracens.
Hey, Saracens. Ooh, lots of funky stuff you can do with that. Remember, you're on separate islands, which means you can freely send additional villagers to gold, use the market, which is what we talk about mostly with that Civ. They do also have the faster firing galleys, an underrated bonus. Can you tell me about the transport bonus? I had known Saracens for years before I ever found this out, and you were the one who told me.
Well, they get extra capacity on their transport, right? So as you get the technologies, it increases. So that's nice, I guess, if Hera wants to go, I don't know, what are we going to see? 10 villagers in a transport ship right away and going to the opponent's island? He can't build Fattorias on his opponent's island, but maybe he could make a market or something, put his stamp over on Leary's land. But I think we might see the galley play initially and then a follow-up with some potential land pressure. It's just what Leary is going to go for. Is he going to go into fire ships and then archers? Is he going to go for some early aggression? You never quite know on this map, especially when players start with a transport ship. So you're given plenty of options starting off here.
It's not just what they make, but it's when they make it. Something I've seen in every Leary game is he will add 2 fishing ships immediately instead of adding the fires, whereas people will typically go for aggression early. A lot of players have opted for early fishing ships on other maps, but on Northern Isles, Leary has been the one to always add fish. So keep an eye on the queue when we get into this game, and keep an eye on the fish counts because every little bit matters. You can see for now, they're both stuck on 4 fishing ships. No changes there, Dave, as we see a range on Leary's islands. Transports are out, though. Could be a lot of craziness with that.
Transports are out, and I feel like both players are just going to send their scout across. We've seen that almost every single game. The first thing you do, get the wood upgrade, and then send your scout to the opponent's island. See where the vulnerable spots are if you want to land. I think Leary's going to be housed here for a little bit. Yeah, just a little bit. Not too much.
Just a little bit, yeah. Looks like we're spot on here. Fishing ships coming out for Leary. He's adding 2. He's Japanese, right? His fishing ships have a lot more armor. And Hera, it'll take time, but is making a few galleys in his dock in the back as well, as players are scouting. Must be such an awkward map to play. Leary will maybe transport over this archer and spearman, which is on the shoreline right now. And
no archer range either for Hera at the moment. So if that archer does get into his eco and maybe meets up with a few friends later on, it could be potential for disaster, as Hera's scout is wandering dangerously close to that villager, but Leary's going to get away with that sneaky little dock on the edge, and the scout could potentially cause some trouble over at that wood line there. An exposed archer, maybe you take that out and then keep moving along.
Yeah, he's trying to take the archer out. I'm also focusing on that little landing there. Feels like the archer will not die, and Hera loses the scout. Dave, the other thing that's important to bring up here is Hera's probably going to sell all of his stone, because that's the norm with Saracens. That way you can get more gold and buy your way up. So if he does that and then archers become a problem, granted there's only like 1, then he cannot tower.
I don't know. He hasn't done it yet. And it feels like you would do it as soon as the market goes up. So maybe he's not going to go for that option, wants the potential to go for TCs. He has made galleys, and he is hitting the fishing ships from Leary. So that's a good start from Hera. Only 2 galleys there, but they're going to get the job done in the back, wiping up 1 fishing ship, and then they'll keep moving along to the rest of the fishing eco from from Leary, but Leary's got a fire ship in defense.
Leary's collected about, as the scout goes down, 200 more food in this game. That's what the fish approach did for him. Hera did sell his stone and buy food to go up. So a little all-in-ish for the Saracen player Hera. And as far as I know, neither player has their scouts right now. So they're kind of uncertain on what's going to happen here. Certainly Leary. Leary has seen 2 galleys. The only thing I would be thinking in his shoes is that Hera's going to be committing fully on water and castle.
Yeah, both players up pretty decent times here and pretty similar. Hera's going to try and find some hits on these fishing ships, but there's 2 fire ships there now. So the amount of damage that you can do, basically nothing.
He's going to block.
Leary blocks.
He's going to block. Wow, he's blocking, and he's using the fishing ship as well. That fishing ship was pulled, and so Hera, I mean, just 2 galleys, but little thing adds up, excuse me. Nice play, Leary, there. It's crazy what players are able to get value out of.
Yeah, nice play sitting that archer behind the wood line, being very, very annoying, forcing idle time there. He also has a spearman to prevent that scout from coming over to wipe it up. I saw he was loading some stuff into a transport ship as well. So let's see what Hera has coming across. Leary has some archers in the transport ship coming across, and I think he might meet the transport ship from Hera here, as Hera's got a couple villagers in there.
Wait, actually, he should come back. If he sees that, did they not see each other?
I don't think he noticed. He saw it, but I don't think he noticed.
Oh, man. I mean, he could kill that, and that could be a huge lead if he would notice it. It's like the spearman's going to be over there. Hera's going to get out of there. And archers across for Leary will still have potential to do damage. As you see the fires, players are confused. Actually, Leary, we didn't see it on screen. He actually loaded into his transport ship again after arriving to Hera's island. So I think he's really uncertain on if he wants to come home for whatever he's seen or go forward.
And these are going to be really, really annoying if you're in Hera's position. Crossbows landing from Leary on that gold. There was also some crossbows in the back of Hera's base, but Hera opting to make some knights to clear that up. So potential for the knights to come over and deal with these as well. Scorpion defense now for Hera. A pretty cheap option to keep those crossbows at bay.
It really doesn't feel like Leary knows that Hera's over there right now. He saw the spearmen, but he has not seen the villagers. That said, it's not like Hera can really afford to do much with things right now. As you see the fire ships loop around, oh man, this water approach is going to be so important. Hera's not going to have the eco that Leary has. Big kills there for Leary. Great focus on water.
And they are Japanese fishing ships as well for Leary, so they're going to be looking really good with that food income. You can make a lot of things happen with a fishing eco behind. There was a forward monastery there for Hera as he's loading the knights now into the transport ship. So potential for Hera to do damage if he gets into Leary's economy.
Yeah, there's stone there, there's gold there. And how are you going to kill Hera if you're Leary right now? You're not going to do it by transporting a few crossbows. So even though Leary has all these little leads that would normally extend to a lot more on a normal lands map, I think positioning is the most important thing you can do here. And looks like Leary's going to spot him now. Could maybe take out the villagers.
No, he's not going to kill him. The transport ship from Hera is there, and the knights are out now with the scout. Oh, Leary's not going to like what he sees over here, and Hera's actually defending for the time being, but Leary had more fire ships coming over. At the moment, Leary with the full water control. Hera does not have any fish, but Leary has to be worried about the land pressure that's going to be coming in soon.
The push is a little one-sided for Hera. He doesn't have many knights, just a monk, just a siege workshop, and I think that pikemen do have their say here in these situations. If Leary has the food eco, he researched pikemen, he's making them out of his barracks, he's also making crossbow, but at the same time, Dave, siege is amazing against crossbow and pikemen. So if Hera has 2 or 3 scorpions, 2 or 3 mangonels, Leary doesn't have what it takes to stop this. He needs to attack this sooner rather than later.
Yeah, the military numbers are just now starting to build for Hera here, and we haven't really seen a response yet from Leary. I guess he's producing a few pikemen in there, and he's got his crossbows coming back across, but all it takes is one big shot from Hera to clear up this entire military, and Hera has a couple monks behind, which will help to heal the knights.
I don't think Hera's going to expect how much military is about to hop out here. It does depend on micro. Both players have shown how good they are with that, as that pikeman has to get deleted. But Leary's really being patient with this. He has a second barracks behind his TC making more pikemen. He's making crossbow in the range. His military could stomp this out. Hera doesn't have a lot of upgrades on these units, and it's not in high enough number to be a problem for Leary if he can gain a foothold.
Leary still making fire ships as well. I think he suspects that Hera's going to redock at some point, and that's resources that he could potentially be using in defense here.
You know, this is the potential to get out of control. And every time that Leary goes in for these little engagements to weaken mangonels, they just get repaired. And there's a forward stable for Hera. He's still making more knights.
Oh, Leary's got a wall here. Leary's got a wall here. But the mangonels get a great shot against the villagers, and the knights are going to be in around that house, and suddenly Leary, his army is completely out of position. That gold is going to be so exposed. He's going to have to leave it. And he's really distracted here. You can tell with a huge scorpion shot from Hera there on the crossbows.
You're right. Just the distraction aspect is crazy. Now, at the same time, the knights are out of position for Hera, so he can't take out this mangonel. Will Leary be able to get a big shot here, Dave? He needs to take out the siege. If he takes out the siege, he's okay to engage. And actually, if he comes forward with more pikemen and crossbow right now, I think he can clear that.
Yeah, wild stuff here for the last couple minutes on Leary's island. If Leary ever clears this, he's going to have water control, and he's going to have momentum going forward here with the 2 TCs and the fishing economy behind it. So Hera has to make sure that even if Leary clears this, he's going to make him pay for it.
You know what's so awkward about this is that is half. Hera's currently denying half of Leary's island. So you get to a point where you want farms, you don't have space for it. You want gold or stone, you'll run out of it. So I'm a little surprised that Leary hasn't made a little more here. Like, feel like Light Cav would make a whole lot of sense. He hasn't tried to add a stable to do that. Maybe the eco's not right. But 88 pop for 65. Hera's YOLO play has officially not worked out, as he's been sitting at home on 1 TC and he doesn't have a single dock.
Yeah, Mangonel shots coming in here. Leary takes out the Mangonel from Hera, but he does get killed, so it's a 1-for-1 trade. And now Leary's got an impressive amount of pikemen. The crossbow's behind the Mangonel. Hera's going to have to keep falling back further and further until he can take a good engagement, or maybe just hope for some lucky shots here.
Yeah, Hera didn't even have Sanctity, so his monks, while he was able to keep some of them alive, the ones that did go down could have been saved with that upgrade. And Hera waiting for the good opportunity there, and he gets the kill, Dave. That was really good thinking. Waited till Leary fired, and then knew he had his shot.
Yeah, and now Leary's diving in with these pikemen. Maybe not the best decision, as there's 2 scorpions and a crossbow behind. He does get 1 scorpion, but will fail to get that Mangonel. And now Leary's going to have to back up a little bit, and the numbers haven't really dwindled here for Hera. He's still denying that half of Leary's island. Leary's full defensive mode at the moment.
Four knights went down, maybe. I think that's worth it. When you have the eco, and a scorpion just went down to the final pikeman as well. I'm just waiting for Leary to do one of 2 things, and that's either counterattack massively, even just crossbows on the gold again would do something, or just go for one final push to say, get off my land and try and clear this up. Now, Hera doesn't have +2 on the knights. He only has 5 knights. Hera doesn't have TCs. It's getting worse and worse for him. But Leary needs something more. Lots of Mangonels there, Dave. We know Hera's going to have the skills with the attack rounds, like all the players here will, of course. But when you're this all in, all you focus on is the micro. So the micro should be slightly better for Hera, in theory. Gets a shot in there and forced away.
You know, I'd love to see Leary utilize his water control a little bit more here. He knows the forward gold position from Hera. Just a couple war galleys can make Hera's life so painful. And there's another gold at the back, which is within range of the water. And Hera, without a dock at the moment, so potential for Leary to cause some upsets in Hera's eco as he gets a great shot there. Oh my goodness, great defense from Leary.
Dude. What Leary just did the last 30 seconds was epic. He let the knights in and then trapped them. And then he got a 1-for-2 situation. 85 eco versus 64. Look at the amount of pikemen. Hera doesn't have the siege, monk, and knight numbers to deal with pikemen. These are Japanese pikemen, and there's a light cap follow-up. This could be it. Leary could clear it up right here, Dave. A little late with the light cap, but the monks are surely going to go down. The siege for Hera is going to go down, and then what's he going to have left?
Well, it looks like he's going to have some knights left over. Yeah, right? The knights doing some work. The Saracen knights, maybe not a unit we see all that often. Still, Hera's going to have to back up because of the constant pikeman production from Leary. But the fight did not go as you might have thought there, Tristan. And it's still Hera with a position on Leary's island and Leary trying to defend.
To what end, though? Hera's got 19 on food. He needs to deny that gold. He needs to take out military buildings. He needs to pressure TCs now. I think if Leary brought in the light cav first there, the monks are gone and this game is over. But Hera took a much better engagement.
Great attack round there from Hera on the light cav. You can see how weak they are, but they're going to come in, take this monk, potential to take a Mangonel as well, and then switch over to the other Mangonel. Leary utilizing the food boost that he gets from his fishing economy to make the light cav here, and he's making good use of them.
Hera had made this last a lot longer than I ever thought possible, honestly. I mean, Japanese pikemen attack faster. Saracens don't even get Cavalier long term. This just doesn't feel that exciting.
Oh, big attack round. Big attack rounds here from Hera.
Wow. As Leary tries to respond with one, it's just not working out. He's going to need more than just pikemen, apparently.
The Knights, such a strong unit in the Castle Age, and we saw Leary desperately trying to get the Mangonels from Hera. He's not going to get them, Tristan. The Knights still doing damage here. Hera still with 2 low HP Mangonels. Leary maybe going for a snipe. Here with the light cav, he goes in. Can he get a mangonel?
One is
one.
acceptable. I don't know about viewers, but I'm actually feeling kind of tilted just watching this. Like, Leary's done everything right. He has the macro lead. He's made the correct units, but he just has not been able to break this yet, as he's forced to drop a castle that is far from ideal right next to an enemy Maginot.
That will stop the push. He's not going to break the position, but that will stop the push here from Hera. And I don't think there's any way Hera, even with some good Mangonel shots, fully denies this castle as the pikeman flood continues to come in. Leary now targeting the Mangonel. There is a repair villager, and he's going to switch back to the knights. He's going to clear up the knight numbers. He's going to get the castle down. The Mangonel will die. The monks will die. And I think Leary's island's going to be secure. Hera will realize he has the eco advantage, and this game might be over now.
I'm waiting to see if the word finally comes out of Leary's mouth right now, because like I had the feeling that should have happened a lot earlier. Hera with some grit and determination, let me tell you. But Dave, the macro from Leary to be able to compete with the Saracen market abuse uptime is pretty sick there, because typically when you're using that market, you arrive to Castle Age a minute or two faster. Hera added the fishing ships. He defended, Leary added fishing ships. He defended fishing ships, and he was able to compete. And that early push from Hera was not early enough. It was not strong enough. And while the KD was actually in favor of Hera by 30 kills, does not matter. Leary with his second win, and it's gone back and forth so far.
I like how Leary added extra fish behind that too. The reason he was able to produce the pikemen, the reason he was able to produce the light cav and get just the sheer amount of units on the field to stop that push from Hera is because he had that extra fishing economy, and he could sustain his TC production. We saw Hera 1 TC that entire game. He was all in on that push, and he just couldn't make it happen. It was a great series of engagements there. Leary coming out on top with arguably the stronger civilization for that matchup, especially if you secure water early, and making it work.
Game one, Leary with arguably the better civ, plays very well, wins the game. Hera puts up a good fight. Game two, Hera with arguably the better civ, dominates there. Leary actually didn't put up much of a fight. And then here, game three, again, similar situation. So now we're going to flop back over. We're going to go over to the maps and the civs, because I don't know who's flopping here. Sorry, certainly not these two players. But I'm just curious, because at some point, one of these two is going to have to break the other on their home map. Actually, that might not be true. Technically, Leary could win only his home maps from here and win 4-3. But it's going to happen, Dave. There's going to be one game, haven't seen it yet, where there's a big shock and big surprise.
Is there? I haven't been surprised so far. We've seen fantastic level of competition here in the finals, and it's been equal execution. I mean, each player winning the home map. That's why I said I see this set going to a game number 7, because I can't see each of these players losing their home map. It's so close between the level, and just an extra little edge like that, an extra little plans, strategy with your home maps or with your civ picks will, bring you over the edge. We saw that there with Leary using the Japanese to full effect, and Hera trying to make it work, but just not happening. And like you said, I thought that game was going to be over, 5 minutes before it was, but that's just a testament to Hera's skill to continue that push and to get those big attack grounds in on the pikemen to maybe give him a little bit more time there. Going into game number 4, though, I see we have Marketplace as the map. Okay. Is this going to be, and I know your answer already, is this going to be the first time we've seen players utilize the market for trade, Tristan?
Nope. Not gonna happen. I'm sorry, dude. I know there's a few disappointed people out there. There's people that are like, but there's reasons for it. No, I don't think so, Dave. But I will tell you this. Might be the first time we see Incas on Marketplace. We have seen Mayans dominate Marketplace, but Mayans was sniped out from Hera. We've seen Aztecs dominate Marketplace. Aztecs sniped out. If you play Incas here, you have a really solid chance you're up against a civ like maybe Franks or Britons. And I find Incas to be a pretty solid matchup if things go well early castle. So that's what I'm thinking. But another thing I need to bring up, we have so much to say, man. Isn't it beautiful how typically we, as viewers and casters, want to see unexpected things because it's a surprise and it wows us. And that's what, on some level, we desire about Age of Empires too, where there's all this variety that can shock us and wow us. But isn't it beautiful how the level's so high between these two that there's really none of that? And it's this awesome. We know what's coming, but we love it.
Yeah, the the level here is at a level that it probably has never been before, especially with this Empire Wars game mode. These two
Yeah.
players have seen the past three iterations of this tournament. They've seen the games this tournament. They've figured out the meta, and they're just killing it at the moment. And
Yeah.
saying that there was stuff we're not expecting here. I'm looking at the
Whoops.
civilizations, and we see a civ that we have not seen so far in Red Bull Wololo 4 in the Malians, and it's going to be
Mhm.
matching up against the Ethiopians, which actually might not be a bad civ matchup.
Ooh, it's an interesting one. Malians are overall more flexible. So if it goes for an extended castle age, they have the much better knights to combine with their crossbows. Um, Ethiopians probably have the most insane power spike in the faster firing archers leading to arbalests. But at the
I
same
think late
time,
game.
Malians
Yeah.
have the champions, right? Could be cool to
The good
see
old
that.
champs girls.
The champ scarls could make an appearance. I think that it will be fun to see Hera with an archer civ trying to do early age damage against Leary because that was not going to be the theme of this best of 7.
Mhm.
Happened in game 1 with Leary. We know that he's capable of that. Now it's Hera's turn to try.
The thing is on marketplace though, like if Leary goes for walls right away, it's so difficult to find an opening, right? You almost have to open scouts just to give yourself an opening for the archers to do damage. If you just go archers straight away, it's pretty easy for a player to defend against that if they're planning on making their way to the castle age pretty quickly or getting a nice boom behind. Marketplace is relatively closed off compared to a lot of the other maps we've seen, so maybe it's going to be difficult for Hera
Yep.
to get some damage in early, especially against a player like Leary. We are about to make our way into game number 4 here. It will be Marketplace. It will be Leary as the Malians. First time appearance for the Malians this tournament. Let's hope they're not nervous. And Hera with the Ethiopian civ that we've seen a lot in Red Bull Wololo 4.
Imagine a civ being nervous. Like if you play a civ for the first time in a tournament, they somehow perform worse or something.
Shaking.
Well, as you can see, Malian's not off to a nervous start as the scouts are very even here. And for now, Hera is behind by 3 HP. This is going to be fun to watch. Oh, wait a second. Things have changed. Things have changed.
Oh my
And
goodness.
what? Like, I feel like Leary made a mistake there, Dave, honestly. It seems like he tried to click back a little too late, had the lead, and Scout goes down.
Yeah, he was hoping to pull him into the Spearman, but unfortunately, Hera was just within range, and Hera wins that first little interaction. I mean, a scout is still pretty low HP there, but that's going to give him a lot of exploration potential as well.
Oh, important hit here. Dude, adding scouts against an archer civ is so risky. You have to get damage in this game mode because the enemy's just going to wall up, save their food, and try and get castle age. And so here comes Leary. He probably wishes he had that starting scout. He's going to go in for the wall villagers. Both scouts here have lost some HP, but it is more than enough to get kills.
Yeah, Hera protecting that one villager over there, making a house, taking wood at that lumber camp that is in a dubious position as well at the front side. Luckily, he has a couple other lumber camps that have been automatically generated. And we can see Leary with the archer range follow-up there. So maybe this is what I was talking about, Tristan, where you open scouts to try and get an opening in your opponent's walls for your range units that are the follow-up. But we see skirmishers instead of archers for Leary.
We're about to see a real epic play here. Hera has recognized as always, got to be careful with the Vil. Leary?
Hello?
Okay, that was weird. He maybe wanted to stop this, but real quick, there's a sneak of archers on the other side. All the action's been on the left so far, and Hera's trying to sneak archers on the right, which is a good call because he knows that Leary's probably not going to see that. Could be a big moment for Hera.
Leary did deny the wall, and we just saw him get one villager pick over there. And Leary's going to miss these archers coming into the woodline with his scout. It's going to be in Hera's base by the time Hera reveals himself. Leary potential to lose villagers, but Hera potential to lose villagers as well, as a good number of scouts are in on his eco. Here comes a scout for Hera to supplement those archers. I think Leary's going to lose a villager, but in Hera's economy, he's very, very distracted at the moment. Has a spearman there, has two spearmen, sorry. And he picks off a villager from Leary.
This is crazy. Leary hasn't reacted to the woodline, and Hera, at the very least, I think should be able to get walls down, so the scouts cannot offer anything for Leary. And so with Hera saving all these resources, it's going to be even with the Vil kills, and he's going to probably be in Castle Age first.
He's getting villagers there, but look at all the red dots wandering around Hera's economy. There's another scout over by the gold. That villager's going to go down. There's an archer on the gold as well. The spearman went down outside the walls, and there's skirmishers there to deny the villagers from potentially building any future walls. This game is insane. Both players showcasing their micro skill here.
Yeah, dude, I didn't think Leary was on the other side. I wasn't even able to look. I'm not even playing. Oh my God. That was ridiculous that Hera does click up to the next age, but not before a lot of damage was dealt. Certainly was awkward. The ecos couldn't have been perfect.
Yep.
But this is what we're talking about with Ethiopians. Leary has invested so much food into Scout Skirm. He hasn't finished off Hera. How does he defend from crossbowmen?
I think you just got to keep producing in Feudal Age, right? Hope to get a good position, hope to whittle those numbers down early, and just hold Hera here as long as possible. You saw Leary go for that wheelbarrow upgrade, so he was planning on staying Feudal for a considerable amount of time, and he has to suspect that Hera's already on the way up with the amount of archers that he's seen, and the fact that Hera is Ethiopians, like you said.
It'd be so fascinating if Hera switches sides again. He switched his focus to the right. He now is expecting a lot of aggression. He doesn't want to be anywhere near those skirms right now. Leary's going to go all in, and those other scouts that were on the left, it's taken about a minute, but they are on the way.
There's potential here.
Armored. Yes.
There is potential here for Leary to just wipe everything. If Hera gets out of position, Leary could take a really good engagement here before Hera gets all the upgrades. I can't see Hera doing that, though. I think he needs to pull the villagers back off that gold when Leary comes in. And here comes Leary. Lots of weak scouts in there, but like you said, they're armored, and he has the skirmishers behind. The villagers are forced to leave from the top side. The ones on the bottom side still going, and there goes a villager down. But the archers are going to remain safe for the time being.
Hera needs to defend his woodline. I was really surprised he didn't pull the villagers from the side of that gold earlier. So he took some unnecessary losses there as the pressure's on, and let's see what damage control is like for him as he goes for the triple house, make a quadruple house. He is going to be able to make a knight. He is going to have crossbows with Bodkin. Has Leary done enough, Dave?
Well, Leary's still producing Feudal Age units.
Wow.
And with the stable there from Hera, with the knight coming out with the crossbows soon in, I think he needs to reconsider and maybe stop making feudal units and think about going up to the Castle Age himself, but he still has scouts in the queue. Oh boy, this is looking dicey for Leary. He just needs to buy himself as much time as possible here.
Yeah, if he can take out the crossbows, everything else I think he can deal with. That's got to be the key here. He's trying his best, but it's just such a better composition for Hera.
He's still queuing units, Tristan.
I feel you kind of have to. If you stop, you're going to die to knights and crossbows in 30 seconds. You have to produce and somehow maybe use the market. I don't even freaking know, and get up. But the thing is, Dave, he's making inferior units. It feels like any unit he makes is going to die to this composition, and that's why Hera played this opening the way he did. He knew it was all about defending himself. New Ethiopians shine here.
He saves that knight. He saves that knight.
3 HP.
Oh my goodness. Back in the day, that is a play that we would only see from a player like the Viper, but Hera obviously, expanding his game, and he's going to use it to scout. Oh, maximizing the efficiency on every single unit on the field here for Hera as he's coming forward with these crossbows. And this defense is going to feel real bad for Leary as he has so many scouts in the queue. He's going for the full feudal defense here, and there's potential for this to work.
It's weird, right? Because if it does kill this army, there's going to be plenty more where that came from, and it's very expensive. It delays his Castle Age time even longer. I think Hera's going to be very happy to see this, but at the same time, he's got to micro insanely well here, Dave. He has done so. Look at the amount of scouts that have gone down. The skirms are probably not going to be enough. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, Leary can whittle this down to a number where Hera maybe needs to back up a little bit, which will buy him even more time. Hera still hasn't gone for that second TC and still doesn't have Wheelbarrow himself. So Leary's economy not looking bad. After the first initial hits from Hera, there's finally the second TC just going up now. And Leary continues to produce scouts, but he is on the way to the Castle Age. He successfully defended against this somehow, Tristan.
Yeah, now you essentially have to stop production for a little while because you've invested that, and now we see if he can defend from this wave. If he can defend from this wave, I still think advantage Hera because Hera will have town centers and all that, but it's doable for Leary. But man, what a game here. So many people would have died to early castle there. Leary held on. I feel like the balance was right. And I think he's shifting towards a comp which can work for him. Skirm Knight is going to be so much stronger than crossbow and knight from Ethiopians if he's able to be alive when he gets to the castle age.
Here comes the army now from Hera. The knights are going to be the problem here for the skirmishers. They're going to tank a lot of fire. The crossbows, though, the main unit for Hera, as he can micro them behind. But that is so many scouts from Leary here. He's got 3 staples, Tristan. And he's going to continue the production. Once it gets up to Castle Age, gets those to light cav, Hera's going to have to be careful with this crossbow army.
And the villager just died to the left of the barracks there. Leary even tried to quick wall. I don't know how you try and go for a quick wall in this type of a situation when you've got a Castle Age army next to you, but he did try, and he did fail, and actually, that's the 3 HP knight just chilling there.
Yep, value, gets a skirmisher.
Yep. Well, Dave, I think Hera's made the right approach. I'm really interested in if he backs up in 10 seconds, because he's on 3 TCs. I think the only way he loses is if he loses momentum and loses military.
Yep.
So, does he back up or does he push here?
Peek a little bit, see if there's any opportunities, and then go back. I think would be very Hera-esque here. But I think, to be honest, I think he's gone maybe a little bit too deep here. The scouts can utilize their mobility once they get to light cap. Maybe they can loop around all the way behind. There's potential here for Leary. I think, like you said, Hera should have gone back maybe 10 seconds earlier. Leary will loop around and try to cut these off. There is a significant amount of knights now for Hera. If he gets in a good position, he could potentially defend, but the skirmishers for Leary are going to be behind.
This is the spot for Hera. If he's going to take a fight, and he's being forced to take a fight, that choke point's going to help him. No elite skirm for Leary, as Leary's going to dive, and Leary's fighting with mainly trash units here. He just has so many of them, and look at those crossbows. They run into that 1-tile gap, but the 1-tile gap's not going to help him against the skirms, and Hera is going to lose this fight. It's just, how good is his economy going to be? He's 11 villagers ahead right now.
How good is his economy going to be? It's going to be much better than Leary's at the moment, but how much military is he going to have on the field after this? Because Leary's going to have a big ball of momentum now coming across the field, and Hera is still relatively open on his side. We can see all the holes in his walls. His gold is open if Leary opts to run right past the TC. All Leary needs on this side to supplement this push is maybe a bit of siege. I see a siege workshop on the left side, though, for Leary.
Sneaky crossbow there from Hera. I like it, and he's paying attention, Dave. That's actually a really clutch decision to go for the siege on the left side, because that's going to be a side that Hera will not be looking to reinforce, and you can switch your future army over there. But I suppose you could also make an argument that siege next to your main force would be better off for you, as Hera's going to have to do damage control yet again this game. The Lyke have looping around, and he seems to be tracking this, but Leary could still get villager kills.
Yeah, he could, but if he engages against any of these villagers, his Lyke cav are going to go down. I think his main purpose at the moment is just to distract this army from Hera, keep it running around his base so he can get that position ready on the left-hand side. I saw he was tasking all of his future knight production over to the left, and he is producing siege over there. So maybe he wants to pull Hera's army out of position a little bit to the right and then start pushing on the left.
Really weird to me how Leary decided to dive against villagers that were right next to the TC. There were so many villagers that he could have gone for, and he went to the villagers that could be garrisons. So that's a misplay for me. But when he shows his Mangonels, he needs to make sure that he has enough knights to protect them. There are camels and crossbows out there for Hera, who has a 20-some villager lead now.
Yeah, I think Hera's going to see these knights come in right there. The villager will spot them. The villager will go down, and now he's going to see the Mangonels as they engage against the gold miners. Great shot there from Leary, and he's going to have that hill position to attack the TC, but Hera with a decent number of knights and camels here.
Hera can counterattack on the right, which might not be able to be stopped, and he can defend on the left, and he still has a 20 vill lead. I love Hera's position. If he can just delay this, if he can take a good engagement here on the left, what is Leary going to do against that force that's looping around to the other side? This is, it might seem a little passive for Hera from people watching, but it was all because he had excellent aggression in early castle, and he did a lot with it behind it.
I don't think Leary knows Hera's pushing forward. Yeah, I don't think Leary knows that Hera is coming here. He's moving his skirms all the way to the left-hand side. He assumed Hera was going to defend with everything on the left, and Hera's going to show up at the wood line. One villager down, 2, 3, 4 here. Camels in as well, and Leary's army completely out of position, fighting under Hera's TC. Can Hera defend? Can Leary defend? Oh boy, we've got battles on both sides of the map.
Yeah, the only chance here for Leary is if he kills a lot of villagers here on the other side. So he's got the Mangonels. We know the TC's going to go down. There's about 10 vills in there. Leary's actually damaged his own knights with the Mangonels as he's going to lose so much more. I don't know, Dave. I understand the push from Leary's looking good on the other side. Hera just needs a wave of camels and he clears the knights. And I still don't see how that army from Hera is going to be able to be stopped by Leary. The Mangonels, of course, with Mangonel Micro and Monks and all those things, you have a chance. We saw Hera give himself an opportunity in the previous game, but both players just lost 20 vills just like that. What what a ridiculous moment. Oh my God.
Yeah, it's crazy, and games like this are so hectic. You can see Leary accidentally sending the villagers back, even though he knows the army is there from Hera. There's just way too much going on at the moment.
He didn't have the wood for a mining camp. His villagers are trying to drop off the gold. That's hilarious. And now he's trying to send them somewhere. He doesn't know where to go with them. They're just kind of in the middle. He's tracking that army. This is wild, dude.
Yeah, it is wild, but we know Hera really excels in these situations, right? 3 TCs behind this. He replaced the one that he lost. He's going to continue booming up his military while he has all this army from Leary distracted over here. And he also has camels on the field in defense.
Do you think Hera should be making some pikemen, or are they too slow? Because Ethiopians do get the pikeman upgrade for free.
I think you can get away with camels here for the moment, but it looks like he will be adding some pikemen. So he's reading your mind, or you're reading his mind, Tristan, as he adds a few of them, and he just needs to survive. You know, utilize your eco lead, get up to the next stage, get your upgrades, and potentially keep sending raiding armies, small ones, into Leary's base to keep him in the castle age that much longer.
I think for Hera, if he can stabilize one of his sides with a castle and a little bit of walling, he can then freely move out to the other side. The risk now when you're ahead is if you shift to the left or the right again, and you're out of position, then you could take more losses. So the correct move here is just defend, play safe, and he'll see the knights there, Dave, and he probably will pull some army over. And I don't see him, as long as he garrisons here. Hera. Clearly distracted, Dave. But yeah, as long as he garrisons, I don't see him losing too much on that side.
Yeah, and he's added a 4th TC now, and he's got a pretty compact base setup, so he should be able to defend with his army on both sides. Won't take him too long to get to either. It's looking good for him, and he's also on stone. He has enough for a castle. Where does this castle go? Do you put it north side on that hill, or do you put it more towards the west?
Well, the west, there's more gold for you, but the north side, you've got more exposed. So I could make an argument for either. Certainly, if you want to place it now, you place it between the TCs, but he hasn't placed it yet. He's still focused on the fight, so maybe he's pretty confident he can clear this and then get a castle on the left. Or the west, as you said. And yeah, Dave, I just don't... Leary's completely out of steam here. He's behind in tech. He's behind in eco. This game's going to end here as Hera has double the population. Leary will know there's no way he can push this anymore. And no surprise, the GG's called, and we have ourselves a 2-2. Yeah. Oh
Hera's like,
God.
thank God. He must have been nervous after he got his Castle Age army cleared up early. Like, oh my goodness, how did that happen? But he managed to pull it out. He was in Castle Age way faster. He had the eco advantage for a very long time. Leary making that defense work somehow, but it just wasn't
Mhm.
enough. And his eco never got close.
Yeah. I we aren't going to have stats this specific, but I feel as though almost every game that I have seen someone try and go scout skirm in these settings against someone going
Mhm.
archer into crossbow, they'll do some damage, but then they're way too late to Castle Age. And for Leary here, he realized, oh shoot, I'm going to be up against crossbow. If I go to Castle Age now, I die. I have to produce stuff, and it's a lose-lose situation for you because you have to extend your feudal age, and the enemy can just add TCs, and you're going to have worse tech. So Malians, their flexibility maybe was what Leary was trying to do there. I just think that the approach of going scouts just did not do enough. He would have needed to have killed 3, 4, maybe 5 more villagers in feudal, and that's a theme. That's a theme. So keep
Mhm.
that in mind. If players get forced into spots with these civs, as it gets down to the nitty gritty in the final games, uh, archer civs are going to do quite well against any scout approach.
Imagine if Leary had gone to that north side of Hera's base first. He went to
Yeah,
the other
right.
side, which was easier to wall, and he kind of bounced off of it and then sent his production into that gold in the north
Yep.
side of Hera's base. So maybe, losing that scout early, Tristan, in that scout war came back to haunt him a little bit because it couldn't give him the information that he needed.
I think also just great job from Hera to prioritize the left because he saw the initial scout, and then logically you're going to expect the pressure continues on that side.
Mhm.
But good overall play from Hera. In each win we've seen from these players so far, it has just been slight better execution, maybe slightly better civilizations because it's a home map. We'll see who breaks, and I could tell you that it is going to be, you know what, Dave? So it's acclivity for the next game. I'm fairly certain it's going to be Britons for Leary, but should he fear the Koreans from Hera at all?
We saw that from who? Nikov, I believe.
Nikov did it,
Use the
and it's good
Koreans on,
against
on
Archer
acclivity.
civs. Yeah.
Yeah. But is it? I mean, it's good against archer civs. Sure, I can't speak right now. But is it good enough against the Britons? Because we've seen what people can do with the level of micro, like a player like Leary has,
Mhm.
and the extra range that the Britons get on their crossbows is just amazing. And I feel like
Yes.
even though the Koreans are a decent archer civ, they get the armor upgrades for free. I mean, it's things are a little bit cheaper. Maybe they get the tower upgrades. Is it enough to counter the Britons? There's a reason that the Britons are picked on this map all the time. And
Yeah.
like we said, going into this set, even though you know what Leary's going to do and you can fully prepare and counter it, you can't
Can
stop
you
it
stop it?
because he's just
Yep.
that good. Yeah.
Well, it won't be Koreans. Hera just took a couple seconds to think about what happened to Koreans in the semifinal and said, "Yeah, let's not do that. I don't want to be on the end of that exchange." And he is going for the Incas.
Mhm.
So Incas, the only civilization we'll see with eagles in these finals because both players banned out the opposing Meso picks. Potential Dave, good skirm upgrades, great eagles, certainly more mobility than Britons, but Leary's gonna have a nasty, nasty force coming forward at some point. So here's the keys for me. Hera can either go real aggressive with a couple eagles and skirms and try and get little lead in feudal, or he is to play passive, wall up, use the market, sell all of his stone because it's going to have to be all in and just
Mhm.
make barracks for eagles. Those are his two approaches. If Hera wants to win here, and if Hera wins this game, it's probably the best civ on acclivity for Leary, and then he's up 3-2 and he's looking really, really good with home maps available over the course of the other two games.
Yeah, I feel like the Incas match up decently against the Britons, provided that you
They do.
keep that eagle mass and you can get some momentum in the Castle Age, right? We
Mhm.
saw, I think it was Viper. God, who did he play against? I think it was ACCM, where ACCM tried to get the momentum and Viper kept his. Sorry, ACCM was Aztecs, but it was the same type of battle we're going to
Okay,
see
yeah.
here
Yeah,
with
yeah,
the
yeah.
Eagles. He tried to kill the archer mass from Viper, and Viper just would not let it die. And once he got to Imperial Age, once he upgraded it, it was a snowball of death that ACCM could not stop, even though he had killed 25, 30 villagers in a raid, right? So the key to victory for Hera here is going to be massing the Eagle Warriors, killing the crossbow numbers early before Leary can get the upgrades in Imperial Age. And Inca's definitely with a potential to do that. And also in the Imperial Age, Incas counter any potential longsword, two-handed swordsman, champion switch from Leary as well with the slingers.
Well, until the Arbalest show up, so I'm not so sure about that one. It largely depends, Dave. I think this is going to be a Castle Age type of a game. Big difference here, though, at the start, I should mention, is that it's common for the Mezzo player to make an eagle out of their barracks. It's common for the archer player to make nothing out of their barracks. So you'll have a little more military for Hera to be able to do things with. And it's actually a pretty open base here for Leary. It's not quite as compact as you would want if you're playing an archer civ.
Yeah, he's going to have to put in some work to wall here. Usually on acclivity, we see walls coming down right away from the players, but not so for Leary as of yet. Just going for that singular archery range. Hera's going to spot that. No surprise there. And still no walls coming up from Leary.
Interesting. I mean, they really want their villagers working on resources. You know, do you think that this is because Leary saw the approach from Hera with his Eagle civs in the past? Because Hera's been going for this double barracks approach, and you definitely don't want your villagers exposed, walling, as I say, as there's a villager there, if this is the case. Wrong timing on that point. Yeah, wrong timing on that point from me, as Hera's going to try and go in, and Leary really on the back foot.
Look at this effort. Look, he's making a line with the palisades. He's trying to quick wall this villager in. Will he be able to get it? The Eagles are on the case. I don't think Leary's going to be able to save her, but he will pre-wall his wood line to keep them safe and most likely quick wall his gold. He's coming across the map now with 3 archers as well, and Hera doesn't really have anything there. All of the Eagles are forward in Leary's base.
I think Hera should expect this to some degree because he doesn't see the archers defending for Leary. And let's see how Leary executes here. And too close to the TC, and those 2 archers are weak, Dave. Not the start that Leary would have wanted, as he's kind of been pulled off of gold at home.
Yeah, it's a really great start here for Hera. Has all the momentum early in this game. Leary unable, I think, to get that villager pick in Hera's economy. He's targeting the eagle instead of the villager.
Oh,
escapes
man.
with the archers with a combined maybe 3 HP on those things. Amazing, but loses a couple archers at home, and the eagles from Hera still wandering around, still being very annoying in Leary's eco.
This is an awesome game right now. Look at the food count for Leary. There's a chance that he could go to Castle Age faster. But then as I say that, Hera sells the stone. Both players going to try and rush to Castle Age off this. You know what is going to be a real struggle, though, for Leary is that he's not walled, and he's chasing half the time. You never want to be chasing when you're this civilization. You want to be pushing.
Yeah, and you want to be building your archer numbers, and we saw those 2 archers go down early. Those were really good picks from Hera, and a couple of those archers from Leary, like we saw before, very, very weak indeed, as Hera comes in with more eagles at the north side of Leary's base, still pressuring the berries there on the southern side, but 2 more coming in to meet up with their friends.
I love this. This is the decision making from Hera, so interesting here. He goes, pick one. Defend your berries or defend your gold. And every time you don't show me archers in one area, I'm going to attack there. Like right now, attacking the berries, archers are gone, shows up to the berries, and then the archers show up and he's going to run away again. It is really amazing stuff here. But at least for Leary, he is going to be faster to Castle Age. As I see supplies on the way. Are we going to see long swordsmen here from the Britons?
Yep, we're going to see the switch into longswords in the Castle Age. I'm not sure I love the fact that Leary made that barracks in a place where Hera could see that the switch was happening, so he has time to prepare for it. And we'll see if Hera actually opts to add in an archer range of his own to potentially get slingers on the map to counter those units.
I think so logically, with any other level, you want to make an archer range and make slingers here. But because of how Hera's going to play this, he's going to outrun longswords anyways. So it seems crazy and I might live to regret it, but I actually think it would be a mistake to add a range. I think you just go all in Eagles and just simply don't take bad fights. Just win.
Just win. Not so easy against a player like Leary, as we see Leary saving another villager there. He's done a fantastic job not taking too much damage. With all this pressure from Hera, Tristan, all of this time he spent in Leary's eco, he only killed one villager.
I wonder if the food eco is going to be there for Leary. He actually is clicking longswords. It is crazy that only one villager has died here, right? So many villagers and military units have been weakened throughout this game so far. As Hera chooses to dive, he'll get a total of 7 base attack with the Eagles. And should he stay here, Dave?
Yeah, maybe a bit too deep there from Hera. Maybe a couple seconds too long under the TC fire. A lot of those Eagles are weak, and the longsword tech is coming in here. And we're getting to an amount of longswords that could potentially counter the Eagles from Hera. And now we're looking at Leary's eco and we're thinking, okay, where does Hera really hit? Where does he raid? Leary's pretty compact now. He's got walls up around a lot of his resources. And now he's got the long swords to deal with the eagle numbers.
It's going to be tough to find a spot to hit, but you've got to think Leary's only going to be creating more and more villagers. They have to go somewhere. Villagers are chopping wood everywhere. There might be overchops. We see a TC attempt here for Leary to get some control in that area. Surprised to see a monastery, double monastery from Hera. It's like he wants to go for monks to convert the longswords. It feels like it's going to be quite risky if Leary's able to keep his archers alive long term.
Yep. And Leary has kept his archers alive. I love the fact he didn't upgrade the crossbow yet. He needs all of that resource to make the longswords to counter the eagles. And the eagles in again. Hera's going to pick a singular unit, but run right into the longsword. So the numbers are still dwindling here for Hera.
Hey, interesting how he went in there for a scout because he knows he's going to have monks. Also, Leary doesn't see more than one monastery. He just sees one of them. I love how Hera's running around. This is exactly how you should play it. It's actually so fun to see someone not wall as well, which he also didn't do in that amazing Frigid Lake game we saw earlier.
A lot of idle TC time here for Leary, not producing villagers at the moment. Maybe struggling with the food eco a little bit, with the longsword production, with all the pressure from Hera. And here come the monks on the field. That's a whole lot of eagles, but that's a whole lot of longswords too. And the archers are still around for Leary. We can see the crossbow upgrade coming in. Those monks cannot get too close. 7 range.
Hera killed 3 villagers. Hera killed 3 villagers with 3 eagles on the northern TC while that was happening. It was almost a split second. He started a conversion. Leary reacted and ran away, but he did not react to that other point. So I don't know if he tried to attack the way he did there. As whoa, what's happening here, Dave? The crossbows dove right into the eagles.
Yep, I think what happened there, Tristan, is I think Leary, in his mind, he thought he had Bodkin Arrow. He doesn't have Bodkin Arrow. He tried to range them from farther away and actually dove into the eagle army. He only has fletching at the moment. He's been, his economy's been pretty bare bones. He's had to be pretty stingy with the upgrades that he gets as Hera loops around and the villagers chop through the wood, but immediate quick wall from Leary. The level here is so high.
Look at this 1 TC commitment from Hera. What did he say? He said, Leary will not beat me again. He's beaten me so many times. We've been so close in these tournaments. He will not beat me again today. And look at the approach, man. It's so confident. No, not a single wall, as he has a siege workshop and archer ranges. He's going to have everything right here in the middle in front of Leary's base. Leary just cannot leave his base right now. Yeah,
Leary can't leave his base, but for all this pressure that Hera's put on, only 4 villagers dead. That speaks to the defensive ability of Leary here, and he's had 2 TCs as well, so he's starting to catch up with villager numbers. Hera still with a firm advantage there. I feel like Hera is one bad engagement from all of this coming back across the map, so he's got to be careful. He's really got to pick and choose his battles.
This is so epic, especially because longswords wreck buildings. Like all these buildings would go down as well. So the game would pretty much end if Hera takes a bad engagement, but also Leary's at risk of overextending. he doesn't really know what's in there. There's going to be 2 Scorpions, soon 3 for Hera, and Longswords will have to back away from the Siege Workshop. The Monks are going to go in. So I'm not sure what Leary was thinking there, but good decision to back away as Hera's Eagles are diving in, and oh, never mind. They're going this way again, and no villager kills again.
Nope. Nope, never mind. Villager gets away. Maybe Hera chasing with one eagle, trying to get him. Not gonna be able to do that. And Leary feeling like he doesn't have enough to push this main army yet. It's just, this is insane, dude.
The thing is, I think slingers are very weak in the situation where you have Britain crossbows. So amazing job from Leary to keep his mass. And I also think that while the potential for eagles with the mobility
so many scorpions so many scorpions in that siege workshop, and the crossbows are getting awful close here, Tristan.
Such a crazy fight, Dave. They both have 50 military. We're 17 minutes in. The scorpions should eject from the south side if you're Hera, but he could lose some of them.
What is this fight, Tristan? Look at how many units are on the board. We've got slingers, monks, eagles, longswords, crossbows, scorpions, a ram. So many different options on the field, and still the KD is only 22-16. So many good engagements here from the players, really conserving their units, but it looks like they're going to go all in for it. So many eagles on the board. Hera has to avoid engaging directly against the longswords. And Leary needs to snipe the monks with his crossbows. How is this fight going to turn out? It looks like it's going to turn out in Hera's favor.
Not enough. The slingers. It might not have been the play early, Castle Age, but they were a perfect addition from Hera. And Hera had more numbers. He had a more diverse army composition. He has been on top of Leary on his home map the entire game. Dave, now it's 30 military to 12. And I know that we've seen the second TC from Leary. He hasn't been able to produce out of it in the first place. Hera's economy is stronger. I'm waiting now for maybe even some rams just to start taking out some of these buildings.
Inca haters all around the world are just shaking in their boots right now, watching arguably the best civ on this map, and the Britons get dominated by this composition. What an amazing performance here from Hera. Has to be careful though. Don't dive too deep. Don't dive too deep. Don't give any momentum back to Leary. You've been playing fairly conservatively here with your army until that big battle. I think you need to continue that.
Yeah, I think in many ways diving and losing some units still maintains that momentum because it keeps Leary's eco idle, and his army is going to be hiding in and out of TCs. So as long as Hera can produce more, I think he's going to be good here. And he's just everywhere, Dave. 17 eco now killed throughout this game. You got to think that number is going to climb. It's 63 eco versus 35. This game is over, and this is the first time we're going to have someone winning on the other's home map in the finals.
Yep, and I think a big reason for that, look at the idle TC time from Leary. He just hasn't been able to produce villagers. So he's had the double TC, fine. But I mean, there's almost 16 minutes of the game where he hasn't been producing villagers. He's been forcing on military engagements, forcing on the longsword production, and it's been hurting his economy. And now the villager difference is looking, 30 at this stage in the game. It's just huge.
It's just so crazy what you're able to do with Incas, Mayans, and Aztecs with Eagles. The fact that Eagles cost so little food means you can make so many of them. And when you have a lot on gold, you can also mix in monks, also mix in siege. I just checked. Hera has brought in 6,500 gold, and Leary's brought in 3,400 gold. It's just, this pure gold army is ridiculous.
Yep. And he's got such a powerful forward position there now on that hill. Like, let's look at the production buildings he has forward and available to reinforce this push. He's got 2 monasteries. He's got 2 archer ranges, a siege workshop, a barracks, plus the barracks at home, sending the eagles across the map. I mean, even if Leary clears up an army here, it's going to take him so much time to clear up this forward base. And Hera, behind that, will probably think about going up to the Imperial Age. But that's a big if Leary can win an engagement, because right now, Hera seems to be on pace for the victory.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to try what he needs to do here. He's going to send a counter in. So in these situations, you need to counterattack, which is the correct play. But you also need to defend, because Hera's going to recognize you don't have those long swords at home anymore. So we'll see if Hera reacts to that. And we'll see how he chooses to do things on the front, Dave. He doesn't have any fortifications at home. Look at all... This is amazing for Leary. Look at all the villagers moving away now.
Yeah, unfortunately, though, those longswords are not eagles. They're not as fast. They can't catch up
Yeah.
to the villagers. Hera's
Yep.
going to send them home to the TC and continue his push on the main side here, taking out one of the barracks that Leary needs to produce that unit on the front side and running away from the woodline. The longswords not finding the damage that they need to.
Hera has 6 mining camps. no extra TC. He's
Where's
just
Hera
kinda
going with
spread
those
around.
villagers in the north? Is he
gonna
going to make a castle here?
Yeah, I think
He's
so,
four more
Dave. He
stone.
has the stone.
Or Zinkas.
There it is. Well,
That's
he's also
the get out of
losing-
my game castle.
It is. He's also losing villagers to the longsword still. It's awkward for him because his ranges are forward to get slingers at home. So he's got to be careful there. And he has a lot of villagers that have actually been moving around. In fact, he has about 30 villagers moving and not collecting res right now. It doesn't deny a gold. It doesn't deny a stone. The castle's not the best, but he's also so far ahead.
Yeah, it denies that TC. You know, villagers working around that TC, and that's what Leary needs. His eco has been struggling all game, and now everything else is going to start to struggle as Hera makes his way in with this huge military. The game might be over any second here, and Leary taps out. Hera winning on Leary's home map, and with what civilization here, Tristan. What a great pick. What a great strategy for the Canadian.
It was so good. It was almost like Leary was shocked by how early the Eagles arrived. Remember the point I mentioned, you can't wall if the Eagles are coming in that quickly. Leary tried to, he lost a villager, and then Hera just kept him running around in circles. And I think Leary might need a couple moments, both because he needs to regroup, but also Leary might be dizzy from chasing so much. He couldn't create villagers out of his TCs. He had this crazy army he couldn't even take fights with. It's a real helpless feeling there.
Unbelievable performance there
So good.
from Hera. And once he got those first few villager picks, Leary was never able to leave his base. Like, he left his base with the 3 archers at the very beginning, crawled back across the map to help defend, never fully got his walls up. And I think the most important part is he wasn't producing villagers out of his TCs. He just wasn't. The villager count was never climbing for him, even though he had double TC. He was so focused on the production, so focused on the fights, and Hera was just dictating everything that game. Leary never really had a moment to sit back and think what he could do to Hera's economy.
And it's not like Leary didn't have food eco that game. Leary did have food eco. In fact, it was almost identical. It's just long swords cost more food and less gold. And so when you need to get all the upgrades, and they're quite expensive, like man-at-arms, longsword, supplies, then you need to make the units. You're not going to be able to create villas at the same time. Whereas for Hera, he just had one town center. Eagles are dirt cheap. Everything's on gold. He has enough food for vill production. And that's Mezzo right there. And it's such a fun thing to see how Aztecs were feared and Mayans were feared on either draft, which we'll get to in a moment. But Hera said, you know what? Let's try Incas anyways. This is probably the third best of the 3, and it's still really good there. Remember that game, people, because as we go to Leary's final home map, Hera's going to have his home map for a potential game 7. Leary now needs to win this to take us there. It will be Eruption, Dave, and I'm very excited. There's some awesome civs available for the players.
Yeah, what are you thinking from Leary's side? What's the plan strategy here for Eruption? He's got Italians, Indians, and Franks left over.
Okay, so first off, you have to use process of elimination, I feel, because Ring Fortress would be the final game. Leary's here to win 2 more games, not just 1. So, ooh, boy. These civs are
Berbers
actually...
on Ring Fortress if you're Hera? And if so, does Leary think about going Indians? Is he going to make elephant archers like MBL did?
See, that's what I'm getting at here. I think Indians look really good for Leary in one of these games, but they look really poor in the other. Because if you go Franks, for example, just forget about Italians. We're not going to see Italians. So if you go Franks, you're up against either Berbers or Chinese for Hera in one of these games, and they both are excellent counters to Franks. So in terms of what's better on Eruption, maybe you go Franks here just because they have the cheaper castles. That is the only difference that comes to mind. And go like Pikeman Knight, Castle Drop. Eruption will not extend as long as Ring Fortress, and that gold's important. So
Well, I
either
have
way,
seen the
advantage
civs,
Hera. Okay,
and the
what do you
civs are
see?
Indians versus Berbers. So classic
Okay,
cavalry matchup here. I was expecting maybe that civ combination on Ring Fortress, but I guess Leary is going to opt for the Franks on there, and Hera is going to go for, well, I'd have to see the remainder of his civs, but probably
yeah.
not the Koreans. So whatever the other one is, he'll probably go for on Ring Fortress. But right now we have Indians matching up against Berbers. Leary needs this victory on his final home map to keep himself in the tournament. Hera looking for the win, looking to be a Red Bull Wololo champion of the 4th edition here, and we are into the game right away. What do you see here, Tristan?
I see a stable opening for both. I don't think we've seen that too frequently today. Maybe once, maybe twice, but certainly has been good for Hera. The one game I remember is Magyars versus Khmer. The goals here when you're seeing Scout v Scout is get your walls down, get your spearmen in the proper positions, and hope the opponent doesn't do the same, Dave. So keep an eye out for the wall villagers. As you see Hera diving for a villager,
Get him?
should get the
Yes.
vill and gets the vill. That's really important.
Yeah, that's great stuff there from Hera, just getting maximum value out of that starting scout. We can see Leary taking a decent engagement against the other scout from Hera, getting those downhill hits. And then he's probably going to back up once his spearman comes along. Hera looking like he wants to wall off his base fairly early with some houses there, and it shouldn't be too hard for him to do so.
Yep. Both players doing the same thing, like we said, Dave. Minor differences here would be Indian villagers are cheaper. Berber villagers move around a little bit faster, so the farming's actually a little faster. And of course, if you're trying to save vills, wall, things like that, there's less time where they're moving. I do think in Castle Age, I prefer Berbers actually, because having cheaper camels is going to be strong against Indians. So Leary's got to be hoping after losing a vill that he's able to do some damage. But do you notice the shift from Hera? He knows he's ahead. He's just going to fall back. He's just going to play defense.
Yeah, smart. Very, very smart from Hera. And he probably knows, or he probably has faith in the Berbers in Castle Age. I would favor them in general over the Indians here, as both players running away with the scouts. Okay, Leary takes the top of the hill and opts to engage here. He's got to watch out for that spearman, but he gets a couple good picks on the scouts from Hera.
I think it's acceptable for Hera. I think he's going to take that because it doesn't lead to a follow-up, but yeah, slightly better fight there for the Austrian. Not exactly what he would want, but he gets a scout there, and then Hera gets a scout as well, and they're just going to play this little game as we have to look at the resources, and man, oh man, is it close, Dave. I think Castle Age times will be nearly identical.
Nearly identical, but you said in the Castle Age you favor Berbers, and I feel the same way. And even into the Imperial Age, just because the Imperial Camel is a very strong unit, but it feels like so hard to get to, you know, especially against a player like Hera who's going to be putting constant pressure on you. We'll see how this game plays out, and we'll see how they decide to take control of that middle area, which is a big, big portion of this map. All of that gold in the center.
There's a world here where they both go pikemen. Not as an opener. I think opening pikemen is very, very bad because you can't do anything offensively. But mid-Castle Age, I think it would make sense for both to maybe make pikemen. And reminder that Indian villagers get cheaper as the scouts are engaging. Hera gets the kill. That's annoying if you're Leary. Watch this little game. He's like, come on, come and get me. Come and get me. Come and get me. I've got spearmen here, but come and get me. That's funny. Yeah, Leary just says, I'm not even going to try. Screw that, man.
Yep. Another stable there from Hera. No surprise with the Berbers. And we see continued spearman production from Leary. And I don't see a second stable from him yet.
So here's the problem with opening pikes. It's very easy for Hera to pick up on that because he won't see the camel numbers. And then with how cheap his knights are and all the hills here, you could honestly probably win early fights against the pikemen and just make knights. And so I think it's important you open camel, make them commit to a lot of units that are vulnerable against pikemen, and then go for pikemen. But he might not get the upgrade. Maybe he just wants to match what Hera has because they're 2-2 for spearmen right now.
Well, remember, this is Leary's home map. So probably a prepared strategy here from him, and it probably wasn't too much of a surprise to see the Berbers on the other end. So he's coming in here with a plan, and we're just gonna have to trust in the plan and not second guess so much, Tristan. We'll see what Leary has in store for us. I know it's difficult as casters, you know.
We don't.
Listen,
we don't get paid. No, we don't get paid to trust in plans. We get paid to talk about the plans. All right, Dave. I spoke to Red Bull specifically. I said, "Hey, can we judge strategies?" They said, "Yes, please do it." So, you know what I think is going to happen here? I think Leary is going to take advantage of how cheap his villagers are, and he's going to kind of delay that middle push as he has a second TC up. And you can see Hera's approaches probably to delay that TC for the time being. 3 stable knights, even with Berbers, are actually making camels. But even with Berbers, that is a big commitment.
We'll see if Leary goes on stone quickly as well, because that might give an indication whether he wants to get a castle up near that middle area to secure that portion. We can't forget about how much gold is in the center. Obviously, each player has 2 4-tile groups of gold at home, and I see Leary with 1 villager on stone there. Looks like he's allocated a second one, so maybe just a slow build up for him.
Leary has chosen a strategy which gives all the advantage to Hera. Hera should never take a bad fight, because you should realize he's either going to have more numbers, or he's going to be led back to pikemen, which he can run away from, or monks, which he can run away from. So it's all down to if Hera can adapt properly here. And with how good the decision making has been from these two throughout the series and the whole tournament, I think Hera is looking really, really good with position to maybe win the finals.
Leary with a monk there behind the walls is going to push Hera away, but like you said, Hera's got that position in the middle. He's got the production advantage over Leary, and every time Leary wants to come up to this middle area, Hera can intercept him and take a great fight with that hill advantage. So Leary's going to be literally facing an uphill battle to get positioning in this game, but it feels like with this strategy that he's going for, he's oddly comfortable with that at the moment.
Yeah. Well, Leary is on stone, so there's definitely going to be a point where he's thinking about dropping a castle. And Hera has not seen the pikeman yet. Now, Dave, do you think, it seems ridiculous, but do you think it makes sense, since you've committed all the stables and the upgrades, that you should make knights here if you're Hera, or do you continue with camels, maybe do something else?
I think you make knights once you see the pikemen, right? Like, camels...
Just a few,
aren't fantastic against pikemen. They'll win in even numbers, but camels will not. And we see Hera actually shifting here. He's got villagers coming forward, and he's going for barracks here, Tristan. So maybe we see that potential that you mentioned earlier in the game of both players having pikemen.
Yeah, it's just, I can out camel you. If you're going to make pikes, I'm just going to try and match that, right? But the stone counts are going to be really interesting here. And it's going to take Hera some time to get the pikes in. So I think that Hera's decision to go pikes was perfectly timed for his eco. I think that all of this could work out well for him, but at the same time, Leary's got the potential. And this could be 2 donations to Leary. Come on, that's got to be 2 conversions, surely.
Nope. Maybe some conversions for Hera as Leary heads up the hill, pulls them out of range, and he's going to send the pikemen in instead. And this is the time that you mentioned. Hera doesn't have enough pikemen yet. Leary's going to engage with his own pikemen, with his camels, going to clear up those monks, and the camels from Hera forced to run away.
Oh, man. Also, Indian camels, they shred buildings. So this is going to force Hera's hand sooner rather than later. At the same time, you always have to be so attentive to your army if you're Leary, because your reinforcements could be cut out, and you don't know how many pikemen are inside these buildings.
God, if you were to tell me it was going to be Indians versus Berbers, I wouldn't tell you it's going to be a full-on pikeman war with each player having 3 barracks producing in the middle of this game. But this is insane here. Hera switching it up, cutting off the reinforcements from Leary a little bit, but Leary almost with that barracks down and going after the monks before they convert his camels. Hera might be in trouble if he can't stall this out.
This is a great game. It's just a matter of time till Leary comes forward to drop his castle. I think Hera made the right call, but maybe didn't get the pikemen in as early as he needed. And if Leary just keeps the production up and can get them across the map, he's going to be slightly ahead, which could lead to a solid castle spot, denying all the gold in the middle.
And, Hera maybe a couple minutes behind Leary with the pikeman switch, and a couple minutes behind Leary with that castle too.
Yeah.
The stone coming in for him. He foresaw the need to have a castle, but he's going to get pushed back here as now Leary has turned the tables and has the hill advantage against Hera and pushing into his base. Hera forced to send all of his army back, and this gives Leary an opportunity to come forward with the villagers, to place a castle on that forward position, get a really, really great positional advantage over the Canadian.
The only thing I could say is that monks matter a lot here, and unit queue. Leary has been a little late to queuing units compared to Hera. Hera's had a consistent queue, and Hera's barracks are closer.
Not so many villagers, too.
Yeah, like if this engagement happens now, there's a world where Hera wins this because of the closer production.
Leary, you gotta make pre-walls around those villagers, I think. You gotta make pre-walls. This is just... You have to get that castle up, and we see Hera coming forward with a counter castle with far more villagers. Could Leary potentially be throwing this game here? Leary's still with the army on the right side, though, could loop that around and deny Hera's castle. This is absolute insanity here in game
it's not gonna happen, Dave.
6.
We're about to go to game 7. This is not gonna happen. Oh my goodness, it was so close. Hera realized the desperation he needed, but he's going to toss these villagers away. Fun fact, Berber villagers run faster to their death in these situations. I think that's a doubt castle, so we will have doubt in the finals again this year. And wow, dude. Wow, that was so sick, and that takes us to the game we wanted to see. It looked like Hera was in a spot where he could see what was happening. He could make the adjustments. What went wrong? Was it 3 stables being too much? Were the barracks too late? So close.
I feel like it's just I feel like we'd be doing a disservice to the level of play if we talked about what went wrong for Hera here, true. Because everything, it just went right for Leary. He was about 30 seconds to a minute ahead in every decision there. It was a planned strategy for him, and it just paid off. Right, he got the military advantage. He took down a barracks, which meant less production for Hera, less pikemen on the field, and then he snowballed the numbers to victory and got his castle up with the 6 villagers building it. Oh my! How close was that? If either player gets their castle up, they win. And Leary got his up first. Amazing, amazing game.
The stone timing was absolutely epic from him too. If you watch the progression of the stone income, it was a little bit earlier for Leary. In fact, I think he ended up buying some based on what we see there with the statistics. Dave, that would sum up the whole finals, by the way. I don't think that there's ever been a situation where a player here has made a mistake. It has just been the other one out executing. Looked rough for Leary there, just a little awkward, but man, did he make it happen. Game 7 again. We have been here before with these players. It's either a best of 5 going to 5 games or a best of 7 going to 7. So if you want peak Age of Empires, if you want the big moments, thank you for being here, and thanks for the support of the players, the team, Red Bull, everything. It's time to speculate, but if my memory serves me correctly, I think it's going to be Frank's first Chinese for the final game.
Yeah, I don't really think we're going to see in game number 7 of a big tournament like this, after all the somewhat meta plays we've seen so far, Italians versus Koreans on Ranked Fortress. But you never really know. Potential is there. I think it's going to be Frank's against the Chinese, and I think we're in for a fantastic game number 7. I am not surprised that we were in this position right now. Both players are just on the top of their game. They're both playing exceptionally well. They both embrace this Empire Wars format more than anyone else in the scene, and they both deserve to be here.
Leary has just been so exceptional in these settings. He won Red Bull Wololo 2, then made it to the finals in Red Bull Wololo 3 and lost game 7. So he's no stranger of winning. He's no stranger of losing game 7s. He will do one of those things again here, Dave, but Hera has never won a Red Bull Wololo, and it has usually just been Leary in his way, whether it's the quarters, the semis, or the finals. Oh man, the stakes are so high right now.
And we are going to Hera's home map for the game number 7.
Correct.
So slight advantage for him. How do you think the Chinese match up against the Franks, assuming that's the civs we're going to see here?
You know, it's weird. Chinese just seem to have the answers to everything that Franks can do. But at the same time, while Chinese get camel and they could always go for that route against any knights, we've seen knight pikemen work really well. And I think that knight pikemen, a good engagement to force Chinese back, and then a castle drops on this map. I think Winchester did it a lot. It can be strong. There's a lot of golden stone on the map, but if you've got castles in your face, not so easy. So I think Hera's got to be a little careful not to go too heavily into camels because that pikeman switch could come.
Yeah, as we saw last game, maybe
Yeah.
a little bit too many camels and Leary adding the pikemen too soon. Oh boy, this is going to be a heck of a matchup here, and I'm interested to see early what sort of damage Leary can do with the scouts, provided he does open with the scouts. Because on a map like Ring Fortress, especially with a lot of the generations, there's a lot to wall. You do get the starting walls in the circle, but if you don't have wood lines in the right spots, maybe Hera is going to take a bit of extra time to get those walls down, and that'll provide Leary the openings that he needs to do the early damage. And then create an advantage from there. So we'll see going forward. Like you said, Chinese, a lot of answers for Franks, but Franks, another one of those civilizations that are predictable, but can do something so well, sometimes it's impossible to stop.
I think Franks have a slight edge here, just slight, but it's never enough to the point where you can say Civ win or I wish I had a different Civ at the end of it. You have to think of what's going to happen immediately. You immediately get your farm bonus. Immediately have more HP on your scouts. You immediately have a forage bonus working for you. For Chinese, the techs are cheaper, but to compete with the scouts, you're probably going to need to research bloodlines eventually. To compete economically with uptimes, you're going to need to make sure you're really paying close attention to what you're doing. So I think Chinese overall are better, but Frank have those power spikes. And this, what's funny here is this is actually a matchup you might see Game 1 Arabia in a standard tournament, but we have Game 7 in a completely different setting, and we still get these same repeat civs. So I'm pumped for this. There they are. Good friends, best friends, possibly teammates, and one has to win. One will go down, Dave. Here we go.
Game number 7, Red Bull Wololo 4. I think it's right up there for some of the best finals we've ever seen. The players are so evenly matched. We've seen that through every single game here. And we're going to be heading into Hera's final home map. Ring Fortress, Franks against Chinese. We're seeing the stable opening for Hera. And I'm assuming we're going to see the stable opening for Leary as well.
Should I be nervous right now?
Yes. Yes, okay. I think everyone should be nervous right now.
I'm just saying, like, I'm just talking about it. I don't know if I should be feeling the nerves that I feel. Oh my God, this is crazy. But this is what competitive sports, esports are all about, man. The big moments, the big players show up. And these are two of the biggest, Dave. I think you're right. This has been one of the best finals I've seen. The whole tournament hasn't been the best. And you want to know why? Because these two destroyed almost everyone they faced. Yep. The reason it hasn't been epic in other sets is because of them. And here is Leary. Hera a little out of position, possibly, but has a spearman there.
Yeah, Hera keeping the scouts around that left-hand side just long enough for his spearman to be produced. So he was going to defend there. Now he can safely wall up. And now he's going to bring him over to the other side. See the awareness from Hera? He's going to keep his scouts wherever there's potential for Leary to do damage early and until he gets his walls up, and then he'll send them forward.
And I think this is the safe approach. You could say, oh, man, but go out and get kills. Kills win games. It's war. Yeah, but realistically, Chinese just get stronger as the game goes on, and Frank's a little bit stronger right now. So really awkward two-wall in this map because you're using partially built walls. I could see there being holes at times, but at this point, players have quite a bit of experience on this one. That is 5 scouts, though, for Leary. Can he run through here?
He's going to opt to attack the Spearman. He gets a couple free hits on it. Now the scouts from Hera are there. He's still targeting the Spearman, getting hit by the TC, but he should be able to do some decent damage to the scouts from Hera and keep wandering around Hera's base. Hera's not going to like this.
No, that hurts. Right now, the scouts are all kind of weak, and there was a hole there, but now Hera, all of the time he spent sitting back, all the time walling is kind of all for naught, man. He's got to somehow recover with military here, and you just know Leary is not going to take any unnecessary engagements when he has this many.
Yeah, Hera's going to be able to quick wall his wood lines or pre-wall them. A little bit of idle time from the villagers there, but pressure definitely coming from Leary as he can probably loop around to the other side of that lumber camp here. We might see picks, and Hera's villagers are not walled in. Leary's going to kill 2 of them
the spears.
And then run away.
That was so good from Leary. He sent the scout
and another villager.
Hera went on a patrol, and the spearman chased the scout there, and that scout is now apart from the group. It's in a separate area. Big lead for Leary here.
Yep, and another villager went down. Mapu caught that very nicely. Another one is going to go down on that wood line, and there's still a hole into that wood line, and the scout numbers are here from Leary, in addition to 2 spearmen to counter the scouts from Hera. This is a disaster start for the Canadian in this game here.
Quite possibly the most lopsided game we've seen in the entire series, and it is in game number 7. Hera's got to be so frustrated with himself here. It just shows you how perfect you have to be able to be a champion in this. If you're going to beat Leary, former champion, best performing player ever, you can make these tiny mistakes, and all of them, it's almost like all the mistakes that could have happened in the earlier games happened to Hera all at once. And more villagers could die here, Dave. Leary being patient. He is so close to the TC. Loses a few scouts there.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that all happened because of some holes in the walls at the front. That's what you were talking about. It's annoying to wall this base, right? The spearmen got in through those. The extra scouts got in through those. Hera not realizing that his villagers at the back were fully walled, and Leary still being around. Hera has not visited Leary's economy once.
Yeah, also, he walled the sides of his base before the front.
Oh, he's back.
Oh, no,
Weak
Hera,
scouts,
you've
but
got to
he's back
all this. This could be it, Dave. I don't think he can lose this many villagers. He's lost 6. Oh, man.
We'll
and the patience from Leary to stick around.
He is on the way to the Castle Age at a similar competitive time to Leary. So both players going to make their way there. Leary obviously with the advantage after the eco damage. We can see the eco KD already 6-0 for the Austrian player here. He's going to take that into the Castle Age, but the actual difference right now, only 3.
Well, Leary did research wheelbarrow. That takes the amount of time it takes to research wheelbarrow is the amount of time it would take to create 3 vills, so that's worth mentioning. But with the flexibility the Chinese have and with the stakes, Hera's definitely going to continue. And I think Leary maybe should have gone in for another villager on that wood line. A little surprised to see that only 1 additional villager went down. But yeah, he'll have no complaints, Dave. Hera finally will deal with this threat. I'm just curious about what's going to be coming next as I see a villager walking across the map for Leary.
Is that a bit too risky? Can you not trust in yourself to just play, standard, maybe another TC and get some stables and take some fights in the middle, knowing that you have this eco advantage? Why are you going forward with a siege workshop at this point?
First off, and of course they know better than me, I would like to see a monastery opening first, because you're going to probably see some camels and knights arrive before you see anything that siege could offer you with.
Well, it is.
Yeah, okay. He'll probably do both. You are correct in saying that this is Leary going for the jugular here. This is Leary not wanting to take a villager lead and extend that towards Imp. Maybe he recognizes how good Chinese are. It just gets easier to play Chinese as the game goes on. And so for that reason, I kind of like the approach. And we saw how Hera was running camels into a pikeman play in the previous game. I think he's opened with camel here, so he could be in a very similar position.
Yeah, also looking for some picks with those scouts. Maybe he anticipated the monastery a bit farther back from Leary. He's going to see the monastery and the siege workshop from him, and he's going to wall out this initial Castle Age pressure from Leary while building his camels and knights from behind.
Question now is, how long can Hera avoid fighting this? because it is an army that he would lose to if he were to have to engage. So if he's able to get a couple conversions behind walls, pick at some units here or there, get to 3 TCs, he can definitely catch up. There's no question. So he just has to be very cautious and very particular about how he takes engagements. And right there, he lost a scout. That scout was out there to take out a monk, which will come out of the monastery soon.
And this Mangonel behind is going to be very, very annoying. Hera, safe from all the melee units, but the Mangonel can range that gold. The Mangonel has potential to deny walls. The Mangonel can range the monks. The monks have to continuously go back, and now there's going to be a hole in the wall for Hera. I think Leary might be better not to immediately push here, as he opts to take a good attack round against those knights.
Hero
Send
scout,
in the
Dave.
pikemen first.
Hero Scout killed a villager, a monk, and actually, if it was moving, could also take out the Mangonel, but I don't think Hera can focus on that now. He needs to save himself on his main gold.
Yeah, and here comes Leary. He's going to send the knights to take out the monk first and attack Hera's knights with the pikemen, but I think this might be an overextension for Leary, as Hera has a decent amount of numbers here. The Mangonel's going to get taken down. The knights are going to get taken down. The pikemen are going to get taken down. Suddenly, the military for Leary just isn't here.
Let's see if the monk gets a conversion as it hops out of the monastery. Hera needs it. He's probably praying to the AoE gods, and he's going to get it. Leary was able to kill a little bit more in the way of villagers there, and of course, more idle time as well. The knight there, the MVP on the golds, as we see more damage being done. You know, I think Leary would have loved to have won the game right there, Dave. That would be great, but it's never going to be that easy. So that fight's fine. He's still got full control. He's on 2 TCs though. Hera does have 3.
When do you go to stone here as the Franks? You got a pretty dominant position here. Do you send a couple villagers now? The castles are cheaper. If you ever get one on the front of Hera's base, it could be just the game over moment.
Now I think your third town center, whenever you have the time, goes on stone, and you just kind of start to think long term about it. It's a really good thing to think about. Did Leary switch the conversions over to the knights that quickly? Oh my god. How did he not get a conversion there? But yeah, Dave, you're right that that's a huge thing to think about, but you don't want to go too crazy on stone right now. You just got to keep your push going, maintain your lead. Hera cannot fight this. That's the problem. And he's got a monk in the monastery. He might as well try and convert before this monastery goes down. Leary's got full upgrade.
Military.
Right? Yeah,
it's just crazy, the production from him just streaming across the map at all times. Pikemen, monks, Mangonel, knights. It's just insane. And Hera's running around trying to find a good angle to engage, but he can't find it. He can't deal with the pikemen. The Mangonel's backing them up from behind, and the knights are going to be able to take out that monastery.
Constant pressure from Leary. I love this too, because he could have easily gone for the town centers, like you said. He could have gone macro, but he said, nope. Hera's weak. I want to finish him off. You see that monk there get finished off as Hera's looping a little bit here.
Yeah, Hera is looping around behind. He's going to find that ram, which would be quite nice for him. Maybe thinking about a counterattack at some point, but right now, just looking to cut off the reinforcements from Leary. Meanwhile, Leary attempting to cut off the reinforcements from Hera by killing all of his production buildings. A stable's already gone down. A monastery's already gone down. That's potentially the second monastery. This is just going to stall any momentum that Hera can try to attain.
Think of the idle time. Think of the efficiency. It cannot be clean for him. But picking off reinforcements is the greatest way to be able to have a comeback here. Hera has to delete some units here, and it has kind of worked. I mean, the thing for Hera is he's pulled off of gold so many times. All the gold is right there where Leary's at. And there have been instances where Leary won't even commit to the gold, but Hera would have to leave in fear of losing it.
Hera forced to remake the monasteries at the back here as he takes an engagement against the knights, but more knights coming around. Can't stay there for long.
2 monks went down there as well, Dave. So now the army that was picking off reinforcements will do nothing. You're honestly at a point, if you're Leary, where you can start diving TCs with knights. A third monastery is being built for Hera. He doesn't have any military.
Ooh, bad position for Hera's knights, as well as he comes right back across the path of those monks. Maybe they don't have enough faith. I don't know. Leary opting not to convert, and Hera's going to snipe that Mangonel. But at what cost, Tristan?
Yeah, exactly. It'll cost him everything, Dave. With these upgrades, I'm very surprised Leary isn't diving TCs. He probably doesn't want to be overly aggressive. But I think
He's going to start now.
the finals end here, and for Hera, he still is not going to be able to pull it out and get enough of a result to be a champion. Leary's going to return. He's made 3 out of the 4 finals. Clearly the best player in these settings, and he's going to get his 2nd win here if this continues, Dave. I feel for Hera. I'd feel for any player who'd lose here. I just don't see what he can do.
Well, Hera still has the competitive villager count. It's just a lot of them are idle. Once this TC goes down, the villagers are going to die. He's attempting to make that pikeman switch, but Leary just has so many knights here. He's got so much military in Hera's economy, and Hera just can't seem to hold no matter what he does. The villagers fail the quick wall. The knights are going to clear them up. The TC is going to go down. Those barracks will probably go down afterwards. Leary in full control and in full Leary style with super aggression.
So crazy to me too, how he decided to go all in against Chinese, but the situation made sense. And well, he made it look like it works well, Dave. And Hera's just, you can maybe see a little bit more of a frantic look on his face.
Look at how many knights are in Hera's base. This is insane. The production from Leary, he can just engage against these spearmen. Hera's attempting to get the pikeman upgrade. It's not going to come in on time, though. So many good hits from the knights.
This is the end.
It's a never-ending Frank flood under the TC from Hera and Leary. It looks like we'll win Red Bull Wololo 4, the Austrian taking it for the 2nd time. Hera will continue to fight on, but I can't see a chance here.
There's no way. He's going to keep fighting, but in a moment, he's going to pick his hands up on the keyboard and congratulate his partner, his friend, partners in training partner, of course. Oh, God. Leary's going to say, if you're not going to resign, I'm going to take your gold. And look at Hera. He's clearly going to be so frustrated with himself and so upset. As we got some tunes coming in, but he knows Leary got me again. Look at Leary. So happy, Dave. He lost in Game 7 last time, when everyone expected him to win, and he responded against an insane player in Hera. Perfect finals.
Yeah, and Leary, look at that graphic right there. He is the Red Bull Wololo 4 champion. Let's get support on Twitch, on YouTube. If you're watching the video, give Leary a clap. I mean, he took it against an opponent that surely deserved to be there, and he proved that he is the best Empire Wars player on the planet and potentially the best Age of Empires player at the moment.
Yeah, it's the scene